I'm starting the stream now. It'll be like 5 seconds. Looks like we're good.
Hey, let's start the show.
It's November 13th, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith, seated directly to my left with a bendy-ass laptop. How are you doing, Norman Chan?
Tired.
Tired? Why are you tired?
I drove back from LA last night.
Boy, are your arms tired. Jeremy Williams,
That's
how are you
not how you
doing today,
drive.
sir?
Hi. Good. Thank you.
What were you doing in L.A., Norm?
I went to a costume exhibit at the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences, where there was a cool video shoot there.
Anything else?
And also went to Disneyland.
I heard you went to Disneyland. What did you do at Disneyland?
How long were you at Disneyland?
2 days. It's the first time I went. I went for 2 days at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. 1 day in each park?
I originally did not plan it for it that way, but it ended up being 1 day in each park.
Which when you say each park, you mean California Adventure?
California Adventure is the other park at Disneyland Resort.
I've never been to Disneyland.
What?
I've always gone to Disney World.
Will,
So I'm from the
we
East
must
Coast.
change this.
Did you know? Do you know why California Adventure? If you try to sell it to anyone now, sounds like a really stupid idea.
Yeah, I'm in California
You're already
already.
in California. Who is this really for? And it's true. And I read it while waiting in some of the lines I had to wait for. I didn't wait in many lines.
Did you get special access or
I did
something,
get
or did you
special
just
access.
start kicking
I
little small
rode-
children over?
I rode 15 rides. I
Wow.
believe.
Seems like a
over
lot
the
of
course
rides.
2 days.
How'd you get special access?
I'm special.
Oh, of course. Ask a stupid question.
Duh. I read up on the Wikipedia the history of California Adventure. And it's fascinating.
How much do you think is real, and how much do you think that is like whitewashed Disney
On
trying
Wikipedia?
to
No,
come back and say,
It's all bad.
"Oh, okay,
It's all bad.
Okay.
California
I
Adventure
believe it
was
then.
there because they spent billions, or they spent a lot of money trying to create originally the space where California Adventure is, and it's a theme park about a little smaller than the size of Disneyland, but right adjacent to it. And it used to be the parking lot for Disneyland from the 60s and 70s. Disneyland itself has grown in size as well as they added new areas and redeveloped areas.
they had to kill a bunch of old people and take their houses."
I'm sure, in Anaheim. But California Adventure originally was supposed to be Epcot West. The idea was when Disneyland became Disney wanted to build their theme parks into a big business. You know, the Euro Disney was
Yeah.
a big failure.
Tokyo Disney?
Tokyo Disney was a huge success. I think Tokyo Disney was one of the first expansions, massively popular. They went to Euro Disney, which is Disneyland Paris, and it's even parodied in the Simpsons episode where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land. They wonder if the robots are going crazy over at Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land, and the guy's like, "Come visit. There's no one here. I hate myself." So they tried to build out a ton of franchises, and they wanted to make Epcot in the West. So Epcot West was the original design, and it was going to have the geodesic dome. What was
The
it
golf
called?
ball.
The golf ball, whatever, Space Earth or something like that.
And Epcot is a weird premise, like even in Florida. Like it's like part of it's about the future and science, and then part of it's about the world that we live in and appreciating different cultures in the most
It's a
American
World's
way
Fair.
possible.
It was
yeah, kind of.
it's an institutionalized World's Fair commercial that does not move and quickly becomes dated. And as opposed to being the future as seen through the eyes of today, it's the future as seen through the eyes of increasingly further in the past.
Paleo future, if you will.
Epcot West, they canned it because they saw the failure of Euro Disney, and then they went to Aspen, and this is when not Bob Iger, but the previous CEO of Disney. What was his
Mike
name?
Eisner.
Michael Eisner took his board to Aspen, and these old men who ran Disney then decided what came to with the idea of California Adventure.
So they didn't like focus test this or anything. They just asked a bunch of old white guys.
Yep. They said, "What can we do?
Fucking great.
What can we do to salvage this idea? Well, let's develop a theme park that celebrates the majesty of California. And here was the trick: let's build this theme park targeted to adults. They have the spending power. Disneyland's for the kids. this is a theme
So
park.
hold on, does that mean they're
for-
infringing on Six Flags territory there?
Well, maybe they saw that as a possibility in the market. So they built up California Adventure. Terrible reviews. I remember when it launched back in, I want to say 2000 or 2001 was when California Adventure first opened. Terrible reviews. And now, if you go to California Adventure now, you can see why they've changed a lot of things. They expanded it. Now it's very popular.
They iterate well, Disney.
And they designed the park for future expansion areas. It feels a lot like a real-time strategy game where they lay down like their city, but connected, they have lots ready for the expansion once they have the investors ready. And once
Cars
they
Land
know.
is a massive
Exactly.
part of California Adventure, and it's hard to imagine that California Adventure without it now.
California Adventure did not have Cars Land, did not have any of the Pixar stuff. California Adventure now is like the Pixar
It
park.
opened in like
It very much
1999,
is, yeah,
right?
with Bugs Life and
2012
everything.
was in Cars Land open. It's
No,
the most
but
popular.
when did California Adventure open? Like
2001.
2000? Yeah.
It's like 13 years ago. But it didn't have. It had like the pier area. That was it. And it was all a lot of generic rides they bought from other companies.
Is that where like Tower of Terror and stuff is, or is that in MGM?
Tower of Terror was not even there when it opened. It had to add, and it was like a special. You buy a separate pass just to see Tower of Terror.
Well, because in Florida, that's at like MGM Universal or something like that. It's at one of the other associated. It's at another Disney associated park, but it's not as part of Disney World or Epcot or anything like that.
But then what they did was, and then one of the problems I think is also that when you're in Disneyland, one of the things that it does so well in terms of its artifice is it feels like you have no awareness of the outside world. They have the tall fences and the jungle atmosphere, the layout of Disneyland when you're standing outside of the cove or the lake, Tom Sawyer's Lake or whatever, in Pirates of the Caribbean. You really can't get a sense that there's a city outside of Disneyland. It feels like you're in its own kingdom. When you're in California Adventure, you can see the hotels, you can see the power lines, you can hear some
Like
traffic.
They didn't do
from
as good a
Anaheim
job
enclosing
bucketing
you
that
in.
stuff off.
Nope.
Okay. See, in Disney World, you can't miss that stuff because it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside and you're about to catch on fire. It's so hot. So you never forget, oh, yeah, I'm in Central Florida in the summertime. It's balls hot here.
But just an exploration of the design of the park, the Cars Land is incredible.
Yeah, it feels like you're in. I'm
not a big fan of cars.
Yeah, me too.
But
Who is, really?
Kids.
It's not 8.
But the way they designed this entire area, which is like the city that world is set in, that
complete
movie
with the stoplight at the end.
complete with the stoplight, with all the restaurants and all the buildings.
Is
are
Mater
all-
there?
Mater's everywhere.
Do they have
Mater
costume?
has like 4 different rides.
But do they have cast members dressed up as cars, or do you go ride on the cars?
They don't. You do ride on Mater has like a bumper car ride. I believe that you ride in.
No, there are cars that they roll out.
Yes.
But there's not people in them. There's people speaking through them.
Yes. So they have robot like animatronic cars.
Yeah.
I think I saw like one with the.
Do they roll, or are they like
They
cars
roll.
walking?
They roll.
They roll. No. It's a real.
Okay, it's a
you
car
know,
park.
It's a real mobile, but they have the lights and stuff, and then they have people surrounding them, kind of like escorting them, the handlers.
Yeah.
With like push carts and dressed in. Everyone has handlers. Like every
Well, yeah,
character
every cast member
like
has
2
handlers.
handlers and maybe
Yeah.
like a spotter from afar,
Yeah.
just to see what's going on.
If you show up at the right time,
Swarm!
the tricked out like Latino cars, they come out with the most amazing sound systems and light show at nighttime. And
The ground effects and all
yeah,
that.
it's
That's
pretty cool.
nice. That's cool.
But the Cars ride itself, the longest ride in all of the Disneyland California Adventure Resort area.
The most recently built ride too.
Most recently built, probably has the most technology in any of their rides. It's fantastic.
Radiator
design
Springs
ride.
Racers.
Radiator Springs Racers, which is integrated into the backdrop. The backdrop of Cars Land is an amazing facade of the canyon area, the Arizona.
It's really
canyon.
amazing. It's done like in a perspective that makes it look even
Yes.
bigger.
It looks like it's really far away
Yeah.
when you're in any part of Disneyland. Like, wow, let's go a 5,000 foot tall mountain, right, a mile high, and you get up there and it's like several hundred feet tall still, but it looks incredible. All the detailing, it's integrated into the Cars Land, and then when you ride the ride, you actually go through it. The ride itself is a race, which is cool. And then but I want to talk about the animatronics, which originated in Disneyland. I saw 2 things. I saw the like kind of book ending animatronics. There's Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which was the first audio animatronic, revamped though. I've never seen that before. I
The
think
Hall of Presidents, you've never seen?
it's not a Hall of Presidents. It's just Mr. Lincoln. It's
Oh,
just
so-
Abe Lincoln who gives a speech.
He gives the Gettysburg Address, right?
It's not the Gettysburg Address either, which you think it would be, but he does give a speech, and he starts sitting down, he stands up, and he moves his arm around, his face moves, his eye moves. It's very realistic. The show is fantastic because 60% of the show is not with Lincoln. It's with like an Orson Welles voiceover talking about it. So it's very much one of those like you paid to see the animatronic, but they're going to make you wait because they could only show you 5 minutes of animatronic for a 15-minute show because that's how much they developed. And it did debut at a World's Fair, and then they moved it, and then they have since then resculpted and reanimated Abe Lincoln.
Well,
But
multiple times probably
there's
over
a-
the 50 years.
Yeah. And this is an attraction that no one goes to. Maybe like 10 people in the theater.
Is that one of the buildings that's right at the
Main
entrance of
Street.
Disneyland?
Right,
Yeah,
right at the
in
entrance of the Main Street on the right side. No one goes there. Kids, you don't see any kids there. But
I want
they
to see Abe
yeah,
Lincoln.
no one says that.
Well, so here's the thing, though. When they released the animatronic hydraulic powered robots for the Hall of Presidents and that stuff, my mom was the right age to go see that, and she and her parents went, and they went through multiple times because my grandfather didn't believe that they were robots.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. Like it was. They were looking at it like, there's no way that's got to be a puppet. It's something. It's somebody. There's wires. There's something. He was very skeptical.
That's like me with the Lego movie. I can't believe
Yeah,
that's CG.
right. We watched it.
Yeah.
You're like, or you thought it was.
I thought it was stop motion.
Wow, they must have spent so much on
Yep.
Lego on that, and it has that surreal look of it. The hyper real.
You're talking about the animated parts of the Lego movie, just to be clear.
Yeah.
99% of
Yes.
it's animated.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Abe Lincoln, audio animatronic, fantastic attraction. They still keep a lot of money on it because Walt Disney actually directed the motion.
Oh, that's cool.
So I don't think they'll ever get rid of that. It's like a prestige thing. And then on the other end, the most commercial product they have, which is cars, the animatronics there are really cool because it's a combination of like soft robots, like the way they mouth move, and then also projection for the faces and the eyes on the cars. And they use that a lot, like in Snow White and the Buzz Lightyear stuff. It's a combination of traditional animatronics and a lot of projection.
Yeah, very clever.
Rear projection.
Anything
Robots.
else? Anything else at Disney? Before we move on to landing on the surface of a comet.
Did you have a good time?
I had a fantastic time.
Great.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Oh, I had a specialized experience with not as much line waiting. Tower of Terror is fantastic, which I'd never ridden in before.
My 7-year-old loved that.
I
His goal in life is to be tall enough to ride the roller coaster, the big one.
I can't. I'm not going to do that. I can't.
Really?
They
do
have a
that.
scary like upside down roller coaster.
No,
at
no,
Disney?
no. It's
It
an old
goes-
school.
it goes upside
It
down?
does have a loop.
It has a loop.
Yeah, but it's an old school, like, California Pier wooden roller coaster.
It goes upside down on a wooden roller coaster.
I guess.
No way.
It's not wooden. It's steel beams.
Is it?
It's steel beams.
The frame is wood. It's a big white.
They might have a wood facade around a steel. That seems like something Disney would do.
No.
As far as I know, there are not wooden roller coasters that go upside down.
No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's steel. It's still. I mean, the best time. And then they had the Haunted Mansion Nightmare Before Christmas, which is
That runs from Halloween, from pre-Halloween to after
Christmas.
Christmas, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I've never been to Disney at Christmas time, and it seems like it would be a fun thing to do. It seems like the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas, before you get too close to Christmas, is probably real prime time for low crowds.
Yes, I actually read that.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's why I went.
So, day before yesterday, yesterday morning maybe? Seems like a long time ago
Yesterday
now.
morning.
But yesterday morning, the ESA's Rosetta probe, which has now been traveling for 10 years, if you look at its course through the solar system, it looks like it was plotted by an insane person. But it went all the way out to Jupiter and back and caught some gravity boosts a couple of different times along the way so that it could accelerate to the velocity and get on the same orbital track as
the Comet.
the comet, which is a hard, comets are like this particular comet. It's 67 Chernenko something or other, is off the elliptical, so it's a hard thing to get to. Is the takeaway, and the Rosetta probe made it, got there after 10 years. It's the ESA's first long-term mission of this kind of length. It's previously that was mostly the U.S. and Russia, so it's a huge deal for the ESA. And they successfully landed the Philae probe on the comet yesterday
Twice.
morning. Well, it bounced, right?
2 landings for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're super stoked about
Is
that.
it docked?
It is not
is-
harpooned
no.
yet, as
Nope.
far as I know.
So they say it actually landed 3 times. Like there's a small bounce at the end too.
Ooh.
And
So what was supposed to happen?
well, it was supposed to come down. It was supposed to be fired down. They chose 2 landing sites. They decided on one. They shot it down in that direction, and the Philae was supposed to fire some jet out of its top in order to gain momentum,
And to push it against the ground, right?
which didn't happen.
Okay.
And then I guess it hit the ground, and it's supposed to fire 2 harpoons into the surface to grab,
Yes.
and then they were going to drill down some drills into the
It has
surface
feet drills.
to really like nail it down.
Okay.
None of that happened. It bounced. It took 2 hours for it to land the first time.
Yeah.
And
like
it-
to stop bouncing.
Yeah.
So there's not
They think it moved about a kilometer.
there's not a ton of
Wow.
gravity, right?
How big is this comet?
It's 67 kilometers ish, but it's not round.
67 kilometers.
Yeah.
No, it's like 3.5 miles
I
across.
thought it was
in
67
diameter.
kilometers
No,
across.
no.
See,
Maybe
67 kilometers is
maybe
massive.
its circumference is 67
I
kilometers.
suppose that could be. It's
Three-
a strange shape. It's like a like a rubber duck. So it's got these 2 lobes on either side.
3 miles across is still a massive comet.
It's
still
huge.
the size
Could you
of a-
imagine that? Like half the size of San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but
Right. That's a world killer.
Yeah.
but okay. On the other hand, it is an infinitesimally small thing moving at an unbelievable rate of speed.
Yeah.
To put something on.
40,000 miles per hour.
Yes. Relative.
Relative, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's how fast it's going relative to.
It's astounding.
Yeah.
Math.
The are they going to keep trying the harpoons, or are they just going to?
Well,
because that thing
here-
only has limited batteries,
Here's the
right?
deal: like they don't exactly know where it is. It's in a shadow.
Okay. Okay.
And so they have an idea of where it is. It's sending photos, and most of the scientific electronics are still working. But the problem is that because it's in shadow, it's not getting enough sunlight. And the comet rotates, I think, once every 12 hours, and it's not going to get enough sunlight to recharge its battery.
Oh, so it's going to run out of batteries sooner rather
So
than later.
it topped off when it left Rosetta. Mm-hmm. That charge will expire this weekend.
Okay.
So it's a little dire. They're going to do all the things that they know they can get away with, like, just get the basic science,
Okay.
all the tests done.
Like they want to find out what it's made of.
Yeah,
And density and stuff like that.
right. Whatever the temperature, and get as many photos as they can, and then they're going to try to get it upright because it's actually only on 2 feet right now.
So and because the comet's so small, gravity is infinitesimal, I assume, right?
2-hour bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the moon, but a lot less.
What's funny is it's just everything about the arrival is just mind blowing. How they got there was incredible. The 4 different
Assists.
gravity assists. I mean, amazing. The physics calculations involved for that are just incredible. But then when they got to the comet, they didn't have the faintest clue what kind of gravity it would have. So they had to measure that before Rosetta could even get into orbit.
Oh, before they could calculate what it needs to do.
Rosetta's
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
And speed. And so, yeah, a 2-hour bounce sounds like pretty light to me.
It says that it weighs as much as 4 ping pong balls. It's 137 kilometers.
What does?
The probe. So Philae weighs 137 kilograms, and on the
not much at
Comet,
all.
it weighs as much as 4 ping pong balls. So when it did the first bounce, it bounced a kilometer back up, presumably, before it landed the second time, and then the second one was probably much less.
Oh, poor thing.
Did you see the panorama that it shot from the that you could see from the landing, like the first shots of
It's
the
like
horizon?
6 shots around. Yeah.
It is a like when you look at pictures from Mars, there's
Oh, wow.
enough of a horizon that you kind of understand. Like our hindbrain, our reptile brain can process that. This is terrifying. This is a horizon that we are not equipped to deal with at a very core level.
It's amazing that this is done with 2004 technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's
pre-iPhone.
crisp black and white shots that were sent. How far? Like, how many?
It's a 25-minute round trip right now. So
It's
a
like
light
300
light half hour, 30
300
light minutes.
300 million miles away, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that sounds right. Why not?
It's like that's 3 times the distance of the sun.
It's a long way
From Earth.
Yeah, and so Rosetta. So Philae had some problems. Still getting a lot of good information from the probe, even on 2 feet.
Yeah.
Just landing it is a huge success for the ESA, and getting anything back.
Absolutely.
How do they identify the comet to land on?
They spent a long time. There were a couple of different. This is the second choice comet. The first choice one was the one that came through last November, I think.
Plan A.
Too soon. Came through last November, and they had problems with the launch system. So the Aerodyne 5, they had a pad explosion or a post-launch explosion, and a launch failed. And before they put this on there, which was literally the ESA's first huge, massive investment, I think it's in the order of $1 billion or something. It was crazy expensive. That's actually probably not right. But they wanted to make sure that the problems with the launch system were fixed before they put the expensive ass probe on there and missed their only chance to do this. So that delayed past the first choice Comet, and this was the second choice Comet. There was a good article on Wired or Slate or someplace last week about one of the people who discovered this comet. I think it's the second person in the name. I can't remember. Gerasimov.
But it's interesting, the whole process of choosing a comet.
Gerasimenko.
I mean, it's got to have something to do with relative size. They want something large enough that they can land on. But in order to, they have to figure out how they can get there. I mean, I wonder if they said, we want to land on this comet, and then they found a way to get there.
I think probably both of those things. I think those things happened at the same time, right? Here are the comets we can get to. Which one is the best one?
Yeah. But in order to get to it with all those slingshots, I mean, how did they even imagine that they could do that before they calculated it?
I'm sure that that's a thing that you can, like, there's software for that on a massive scale.
It reminds me of that part. I won't try to ruin it.
Yeah,
people who haven't read it.
It's very reminiscent of The Martian.
But there's that scene in The Martian where this physics savant does something amazing. But
this is much harder. I think
reality seems 5 times harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of variables.
So yeah, props to the ESA. Congratulations. Rosetta's going to stay with the comet for the next 12 months, assuming everything goes well, as it travels around the sun, warms up, thaws, starts blasting out water and dust.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that and see how that goes.
Maybe that'll upright it.
Well, it'll be done by then.
Well, maybe it could get. What if it could get sunlight in the future and start transmitting again years later?
I think it's much more likely that it's going to get rocketed. Like, I've seen Armageddon. I know how this works.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to get blasted off of the surface of the comet.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go out into deep space, and it's become sentient. And then it's going to come back 400 years from now on the next pass of the comet, and it's going to want to know what's up with the whales. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yep.
Oh, no.
And we'll call it flay, because like 2 of the letters will be rubbed out, and nobody will put that together until the very end.
And then instead of slingshotting around Earth and Mars, we'll have to go around the sun.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you know what happens then.
Yeah, we go. Yeah, exactly.
You're talking about 2 different things.
We're conflating the 2 Star Trek movies that are
conflating-
identical to each other.
They're not identical.
He did it.
I was like, wait a minute.
He went whales.
One. No, you started
I
with the
went
whales.
whales.
Norm started with whales, and I went with the one with the bald lady. They're anyway.
At Disneyland, I also discovered that I can do a pretty good Mickey Mouse impression.
Oh, let's hear it.
You can't
Not-
say
it's not
that
a
and then
command.
not do it.
What?
It's not on
This-
command. It only
dance.
happens spontaneously.
All right, I'll do my Mickey.
You can do Mickey. I can do Mickey. That's what I can do.
All right, do Mickey.
You can do Mickey also.
Who can,
Everybody can do
everyone
Mickey,
can do a
dude.
Mickey. Everyone
There
has different
Mickey.
have been
qualities.
55 Mickey Mouses.
Here we go. Oh, hi guys. What do you think?
That's
That's
pretty
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's
I can't do it on
a
command.
mid
It's all
80s
the-
Mickey Mouse. Yeah, you got to smile while you say it. You can't frown and do a Mickey Mouse voice.
Yep. Some people can do that Daffy Duck pretty well.
You mean Donald Duck?
Yes, Donald Duck with that weird talk with the. It sounds like it's coming out of your cheeks. I can't do
No,
that.
I can just do Wario.
That's Penguin.
You're not gonna do one then?
I can't do it
Oh,
on
come
command.
on.
The trick with Donald Duck is to inhale while you talk instead of exhale. So you have to kind of. Anyway, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I've got Wario on the brinks. We're playing Mario Kart again. I went to a Phantom event last night. Joey and Adam and Jamie and I went to a DJI Phantom event last night.
Oh, new
It's
product.
not a Phantom. It's
A
DJI.
DJI event. Sorry. Yes.
The Spectre event.
Yeah,
It wasn't the Spectre.
I know it's not the Spectre.
It's the Inspire
that's
1.
the South Park thing.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
see the South
I
Park.
also did not watch the newest South Park, which apparently is about the Oculus Rift. They're on point this season.
They did a free-to-play games. They did the drones. They did the Oculus. What else have they done?
Gluten free.
That seems good. They've done a Kardashian's ass one yet? That seems like it's time.
Time may have passed for that
They
one.
they did mention the fappening in the drones one.
Too late.
Did they?
Yeah.
Really?
They
Wow.
were way out of the curve on that one.
Then you got to assume by end of the season they'll have a
Gamergate.
they'll have
that'd be good.
ethics in something.
Hey, yeah. Okay, so DJI announced a bunch of stuff, a couple of things that are pretty big last night. The first thing we'll talk about is the new drone. It's called the Inspire 1, and it's a higher level quad than the entry. So the Phantom Vision 2 going to continue to exist indefinitely. It sounds like as like an entry level at the same price point, like $1,300, which is a good place to be. This new quad seems to be more designed for professional use, either for filmmaking or also for all sorts of other stuff. And it has a ton of new features. The first thing that you notice is that it has carbon fiber arms. It doesn't have the unibody design. So it has like a central kind of vertically oriented chassis that looks almost like the head of one of the monsters from the first Thor movie. You know, the like it's like two inward curved edges that kind of clamp together. The camera bulb dangles off the bottom on a gimbal that has full 360-degree rotation. And then the propellers are on two arms that are carbon fiber tubes. And when it takes off and lands, the arms go up and down. So the landing gear is on the bottom of each arm. And when it's landed, the arms are down so that they touch the ground.
So the process is lift up, then arms go up, and then go fly?
No. It's you don't even think about it. You don't have to control the arms. The arms are based. There's an altimeter, a sonar altimeter, and a camera.
Oh, is
on
that
the
right?
bottom
There's
of the
no
camera.
control for that.
I
don't
would
know
imagine
that
that would
there's
be
no
complicated.
control, but what they showed us yesterday is
Cool.
it just goes up and down based on the distance above
Yeah.
things. So like when somebody walked underneath it, it would go up.
Oh.
They would come down
Yeah.
if you were like 5 feet off the ground or 10 feet off the ground.
So the idea is that unlike the Phantoms where their feet basically
Yes.
that it lands on, which can be stable and it bounces sometimes off the feet. Now this is more stability because it's a wider base
It's-
for landing, and
I think-
also you take away the you allow the 360 camera.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
it's
what it's
more
for.
that you can't see you'll theoretically once you're above 10 feet off the ground, you'll never see legs, struts, or propellers.
Well,
in
with the Phantom
camera.
2 Vision Plus, you don't either because the camera doesn't rotate.
But you do occasionally see propeller blades.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Because
true.
of the wide angle.
Because of the
If-
wide angle,
Yeah,
yeah.
occasionally. But you can't see the feet because the camera doesn't rotate 360 degrees.
So-
but it does
Yes.
on the new one.
It can.
It can.
So with that in mind, there's a bunch of other stuff. They added where do I even start? They added so when you're close to the ground and you're too low and need too fine movements for GPS tracking to work, they added another downward facing camera that can track your position in those situations based on what's happening underneath you. So it kind of works like an optical mouse in that the camera sees blades of grass and floor tiles or carpet texture or whatever and can adjust its movement and hold position even indoors. Like they were flying these indoors and it's a lot bigger than the Phantom 2. And it was super stable at really low altitudes. At one point, one of their test pilots was flying one in circles with one of the 4 landing pads like dragging on the ground.
Wow.
And the other 3 off indoors. It was a little scary, frankly, but seemed to be in good control. And then when he took his hands off the controls, even inside, it just held position
That's
like
cool.
dead on.
That is a problem with the Phantom. If you go to a park with tall trees, it's tough to get GPS locked into unless you get high enough.
Well, and even when you're in a park, like even when you're in that the first 3 feet off the ground, like the GPS altitude stuff isn't sensitive enough for it to know that it's 3 feet off the ground, and the maps aren't precise enough. So now that it actually knows, it means that when it does the auto landing, it does a soft landing, and it also you can hover very, very low and fly very, very low much more safely than you could before. So anyway, the camera seems like a huge upgrade. It's a 4K camera at 24 and 30 hertz. They put a 94-degree wide-angle lens, so it's not a crazy like 100. What is the Phantom Vision 2, like 120 degrees or something?
Yeah.
It's not all distorted around the edges. I didn't see if it does the distortion that happens when you do the tilt up and down on the Vision 2.
Yeah.
We didn't have that kind of granular control.
Didn't they say it looked like it was a detachable camera too?
It's a modular design, so you can pop off the camera, and they haven't announced any other cameras, but presumably there will be upgrades. And I mean,
What's the weight capacity they can lift then if you take off a camera? If some people want
They
to do
didn't say.
that
They
weight?
wouldn't talk about that.
It also had interchangeable lenses, if I recall.
It has a screw-on mount for filters.
Yeah, okay. That
I don't know if it has a mount for lenses.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it has a mount for lenses, but with the screw-on mount, you could probably rig something
Do a
on.
fisheye or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm more interested in seeing if they open up that interface so that people can build like thermal imaging cameras and 3D cameras and stuff like that. Like that's super interesting to me because then
For search and rescue. And
yeah,
stuff,
search and rescue, and we saw they did a demo of a mapping application that if you had 2 cameras on would be presumably even better.
IR droning at night.
Yeah, night vision.
Night vision. Well, pseudo night vision, but yes.
Straight up.
or just a low light sensor. I mean, honestly, like a starlight scope.
The military would buy every single one if they added night vision. For
Well, the military will
for-
just put night vision on
for
their
that
own.
cheap.
$2,800. Yeah, cheap for the military. Double the price. More than double the
$2,900.
more than double the price of the Vision Plus.
Yep.
And battery life is still under 20 minutes.
Well, so we talked about that a little bit last night. They're
I know they want to, if when they're talking about who this is for, they know that for the production environment that they really want enthusiasts, that's a good amount of time. Like you're talking about getting 1 or 2 shots.
well, and even in like search and rescue and stuff like that, 20 minutes on the battery and then it comes back and you put another battery in, it goes out and continues the pattern.
Yes.
More than enough.
But there's no option if you wanted the someone who wanted to fly for 30 minutes.
Well, the option is that you build your own and strip it way down. You know, the 3-axis gimbal you touched on this. It rotates 360 degrees. They have live HD video coming off of it now directly to the remote. So the remote integrates a lot of stuff that was separate before. Like you don't have the signal booster dongle that hangs off at the top of the controller.
Does it still use iPhone or a phone?
You can still use a phone to get the live video feed, or a tablet. They have a new clamp for the phone and tablet that looks like it'll accommodate an iPad Mini or a Nexus 7.
But the remote itself now has HDMI out on it.
So the remote has HDMI out, and you can give the app a feed with telemetry and pipe non-telemetry video out of the HDMI out port.
It's
so that
still
means
as good as you can get over the Wi-Fi.
it's not. I don't think it's over Wi-Fi anymore. Is the thing. That's why
It's not over
integrated.
5 gigahertz.
It's in the unlicensed spectrum. We didn't talk about frequencies last night.
We should talk
The
about that.
HDMI looked much better than it has coming out of the phone app
They
to
said
date.
it worked over a kilometer away.
1.7 kilometers is what they told us. That's
pretty good.
So I assume that's got to be
Image quality.
2.4 gigahertz, maybe even 900 megahertz. We're going to go fly it later this afternoon. We'll know more then. The camera's modular, 3-axis gimbal, 6-cell battery is 18 minutes of flight. Triggers. When you put it into the what's the scary mode? Yeah, we usually fly it in the noob mode.
You mean like the alternate firmware?
No, it's not alternate
No,
firmware. You
just
flip
like-
the switches to a different
Oh.
configuration, and it goes to like professional mode.
Sure.
They said they've clocked it at about 60 kilometers an hour in the professional mode, up from 30. It's the propellers are a lot bigger, so there's a lot more lifting surface. It weighs almost 3 kilograms, so it's just under what the legal limit. It seems like the limit for licensure is going to be 3 kilograms. So
Interesting.
they built it to be under 3 kilograms.
This is everything is just working around the FCC, which is
FAA.
which is still in flux, and that just sucks.
Yes.
There's a 2-operator mode now, too.
So this is the awesome thing for professional folks is that they have 2 operators. One person can have a remote that just controls the gimbal. The other person has a remote that controls the craft. And again, you can get video with telemetry on one, video without telemetry on the other. So you can pipe out HDMI from a plug on the controller, which means if you want to do something like when we talked to Eric and he was flying the quad over the volcano and wasn't sure he was going to get it back, he still at least was getting video out of it because he was piping HDMI back, full HD video back over the wireless connection. This gives you the same thing basically. So if you're say you're shooting that opening sequence from Tropic Thunder, with a napalm scene, and you're not sure you're going to get your quad back because you want to get up close and get some crazy shots, you can at least get the footage out of it.
Right. So when he did that at the volcano, he wasn't using a Phantom 2 Vision Plus. He was doing a more custom rig.
He was using a Phantom 2 with a GoPro Hero 3, I think, glued on the bottom, and had a live HDMI out of the GoPro Hero 3 because he wasn't sure he was going to get the camera back.
Got it.
Or the quad at all. He was
He had some kind of RF transmitter.
Exactly.
for
So
video?
he was transmitting RF over that distance. They redesigned the Pilot app. One thing that I liked is that the controller also has buttons that control the camera directly. So even if you're just flying the drone and aiming the camera yourself, you don't
need to tap the screen.
You don't have to tap the screen to take a picture. There's a trigger on one side that actually either triggers, I assume, video on or take a still. There's also another button that you can set to fix exposure and focus for whatever you're aiming at for a center point, presumably. We'll find out more about that this afternoon, Joe. So that means
and it'll lock onto an object.
I don't think it'll lock onto an object. I think it's just I think it's the equivalent of half pressing your SLR trigger button.
Oh, gotcha.
It's locking the shutter and focus.
So it's locking shutter and focus. It's re-exposing and refocusing on whatever you happen to be aimed at that moment.
I can't imagine there's a whole lot of focus changing from such distances.
Probably not focus, but there's exposure happens a lot.
Yeah,
like if
that's
you're
true.
over water or something and it suddenly got real bright, then sometimes it'll lock focus, lock exposure on darker and be blown out.
Boy, sounds like much better value than the 3D robotics one we got.
Was that a comparable price?
That was $2,000.
Yeah, $2,000.
Yeah, but that was $2,000. So this is $3,000 essentially. It's $2,900, and if you want the second remote, it's another $500, I think.
I was a little bit. Are we done with the feature list?
Yeah, we're done with the feature list.
I was a little concerned when I heard this was announced that I would feel jealous and envious, and I want to upgrade from my Phantom 2 Vision Plus.
And you do.
I don't, surprisingly. I feel like this is great for prosumers and professionals, especially with the HDMI out.
Yeah.
But for a hobbyist who wants to fly, I rely on that camera facing forward all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If that thing faced a different direction, I would be totally lost about how to steer and come home because I'm constantly referring back to the iPhone video feed.
Which you should not be
in order to fly it.
Right. And you should, in order to fly, you should always be
Watching the
quad.
No, I do that most of the time.
Yeah.
But occasionally, if I lose my bearings, I need to go into like first-person shooter mode and look at the iPhone screen and fly it like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I'm trying to go through obstacles.
This seems like a quad to get for siblings now. Now you can share, and one person can man the camera and one person can run the
For
run the
doing
quad.
video stuff, it does sound like a lot of fun. You're right.
The thing you can't do with this that we can do with the X8 is we can hang the Blackmagic off the X8.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we're going to do that from an insurance perspective, but we could.
It's cool they went with carbon fiber.
Yeah, the propellers have carbon fiber as well to make
the
them a little more
propellers
rigid.
are.
They're not carbon fiber, but they are strengthened with carbon fiber. I think was the
Oh,
the
wow.
language.
I
that
wonder
they
if they'll
used.
Do that for the Phantom 2 propellers too.
I'm sure there's
You
a
can
a wide aftermarket for Phantom 2 propellers.
I have not found good ones. If anybody out there knows good ones, they all have bad reviews.
The other thing that they added is that there's now a dynamic home on the software, which I presume will come back to the Phantom 2 as well.
What's that mean?
It means that if you're, for example, if you are chasing a herd of cattle to track wildlife or something and you're in the back of a pickup truck, you launch your drone, drive
Is
the
this your
pickup truck.
example or their example?
This is my example.
Okay, good.
You drive 5 miles. Their example is, remember when Eric said he used to fly the quad off of sailboats when he was
Yes.
in Baja?
Yeah.
Right. So if your start point moves, the quad will update based on the position of the phone where it returns to home, and it keeps a constantly updated track based on like the difficulty it's having station keeping and all that stuff. Apparently, return to home is much smarter, so you presumably won't be in situations where
So it's more like return to phone?
it's returned to wherever your phone is.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Seems good.
Yeah.
And it's going to be smarter in terms of like wind and conditions and stuff like that, so you don't run out of battery on the way back. I feel like that's probably a feature that Eric wanted because of his boating, because he launches off boats fairly regularly.
I love this company, man. They're doing great
I
things.
mean, the thing that I was talking to some people who've been both PC and animation and film folks for a long time after this, and
Wave?
Yes, Wave. So the thing we ended up, the place we ended up was that this is very reminiscent of like early PC days, pre-Gateway and Dell and all that stuff, where one company everybody who enters this space has the opportunity to do something amazing, and the thing that it seems like DJI is focusing on is the kind of polishing the rough edges, because like still this is stuff that you can do. You can buy a kit, you can buy parts individually and put together a machine that will do almost all of the stuff that this will do. But the fact that they have the ability to like integrate everything into the controller, so you don't have to have 6 boxes and 3
Right.
people running it, and the fact that they were able to do the wing movement, so you don't have to have some sort of ungainly design where you leave the legs behind or something like that to get a 360-degree gimbal, and the fact that they're able to integrate the camera into the gimbal so that they can minimize the battery impact and maximize the sensor quality
And
and
weight.
make that modular. Yeah, is like they're really hitting hard in the places that they can do stuff that homebrew folks can't. And I think that's interesting. I mean, it makes the category interesting, if
Yeah.
nothing else. They were very excited about the sensor quality and the image quality on this camera, and the optics, and I'm super interested to see what footage off of it looks like. That's not controlled. Here's our best case footage.
Yeah. If they're doing 30 frames at 4K,
4K.
is there a better or higher speed slow-mo at the lower resolutions?
I don't know. They didn't talk about that. I didn't ask. But they did. I think they're doing I think they have different field of views as options at 1080p.
Oh.
I'm not entirely certain
Okay.
about how that stuff works.
So that
or
would
if
mean
that's gonna
the
be
sensor would
exposed.
be bigger than they're using at 4K.
I think the sensor would be no at 1080.
If there's a wider resolution or wider field of view, I assume they're not changing the lens.
I don't think you have the wider field of view option at 4K. I think you only have it at 1080p.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
they're using less of the sensor
Yeah,
at
yeah,
4K.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're processing only exactly those pixels.
And it's a
Limitation
12
of the processor.
Like on paper, it looks like it's a similar sensor to popular action cameras. If you look at just
Fascinating.
specs, yeah.
Popular action cameras.
Yes. So the other thing they announced is, I think, even more interesting in a lot of ways. They're opening up access to, it looks like almost everything on the quad to third-party applications.
And not just the new one. This is for the.
It's unclear, but I think it's got to be for the Phantom. They didn't say, have they clarified since?
I thought I read that it was for the
Okay.
Phantom line.
It wouldn't make sense to make it just for the prosumer thing. I think that it makes a ton of sense to do it for the
For the Phantom
for
line.
the Phantom
yeah.
line.
So it's an
yeah.
SDK.
So it's an SDK. There's open APIs that allow access to camera control, gimbal control, flight control, and like 3 or 4 other aspects of the quad. They brought up a company called Pix4D, which does they use quads to make 3D maps of real estate, of property. And again, this is one of those applications that like construction's really into it, search and rescue's really into it, realtors are really into it. And what they do for the Pix4D stuff is they fly the drone in a path that's controlled by software, take pictures, and then they stitch those pictures together into a
Panorama.
into a 3D model of the property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
They announced a partnership with 3D Robotics last year and also did a demo yesterday.
yes. 3D Robotics did a demo yesterday.
Yeah, they invited Miles O'Brien was there.
Oh. So anyway, that's that. We saw a fixed wing quad fly over the DJI event yesterday. I mean, a fixed wing, what looked like a fixed wing
RC?
drone. Yeah.
Like an imposter?
I don't know. All I saw is something that looked like it was about 6 feet wide with fixed wings flying over the Treasure Island event at some point yesterday.
It's Chris Anderson, I bet.
Yeah, it's drone wars. The drone wars start now.
That's right.
This thing looks a little sinister. The Inspire. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's very
Like,
cool.
It looks much more bug-like. The other one looked kind of friendly and like a toy. This one looks mean.
I had too many Star Trek references, but it's kind of Bird of Prey-ish, right?
Yeah.
When those things come up.
That's exactly it. Because when
As it lifts off, Abrams Bird of Prey.
Yeah.
yeah, well, and when it comes up, it's like wings up, right?
Yeah.
It's creepy. I'm excited to go fly it later today. So we got that going for us.
Hopefully the rain will stay away.
Hope you can do that dual controller mode.
Yeah, I won't do that.
I don't know if they have that.
Okay.
The one that they're bringing, so they don't have finished hardware yet. They didn't announce a date.
They say later this year or next year.
They did not announce a date.
No range at all.
No mention of dates
Or time frame.
or time frame.
That sucks.
So they're bringing a prototype for us to fly. I don't know. We're not going to review it at this point, obviously. Amazon last week announced the Echo.
Apple Insider is reporting that it's supposed to ship December 1st.
Okay, that's that. Okay,
December
Sounds
1st.
Good.
There we go. That's soon. I
Um,
mean, they're the fast-moving company.
Yeah, they don't wait.
They
I mean, just to be clear, they
absolutely
demoed a lot of stuff that is, to my understanding, is probably illegal under the FCC rules for amateur
FAA.
pilot FAA rules. Yeah, FCC on the brain today.
Yeah. It seems like DJI
amateur stuff.
is trying to get ahead of that and even assist the FAA in, already including the restrictions for airports and proximity, things like that.
Well, I mean, and here's the other thing is if you look at the commercial restrictions for quad use that would essentially prohibit, say, a realtor from going out and taking an aerial survey, aerial photos of a piece of property, it's absolutely ludicrous that stuff is illegal.
Yes.
I talked to one of the other things I talked to with some of the other people there, not Wave this time, were about licensing requirements. And
because I could go out and shoot it of my house.
Yes.
But I can't hire somebody to do that.
And you can't charge anybody to do that service.
Exactly.
But you can shoot it of your house for commercial purposes?
No. Well, can I if I don't pay myself?
No, you can't use it for commercial.
Yeah.
It's why we stopped doing quad videos, is because it's unclear what the legality of us flying quads and then putting it on the site with ads is. The
Drone boning.
don't ever say that again on the podcast, please.
Drone boning. Colbert did a bit about it
I'm just
yesterday.
turning your mic off.
That video, have you seen the video?
No.
It's more drone flying than anything. Like, it's as if
they use drones for their
the idea. That's the whole idea is quadcopter.
Used to shoot porn.
Used to shoot porn, but the video is 90% just your typical quadcopter.
The porn
landscape
is,
video.
or the Colbert video.
No. The porn is 90% just landscapes and scenic things.
landscape porn.
And then you're like, oh, in the corner over there, boning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty vineyard. Oh, boning over there. That's it.
This sounds like they're not very good pilots.
They're not. No, they're not very good pornographers. That's the problem. They're great pilots. The footage just looks fantastic.
Anyway, it seems like there's stuff about to change on the FAA front as well. So I think a licensing requirement that would require somebody to spend, like if you look at like ham radio licensing, that seems like like an appropriate level of difficulty.
Right.
Just make everybody know that, hey, you're flying something that weighs as much as a cinder block and go 1,000 feet in the air, and that will really kill somebody if it hits them. Also, the blades are dangerous. Here's all the things that you should and shouldn't do. And then learn something like Morse code, and then have to take a test.
As an owner of a drone,
Have to
I
take a
am
test.
100% in favor of a license because I know how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
self-licensing right now. It's self-certification.
Yeah.
It's what the hobbyist way.
So let's talk about Amazon Echo. It's a speaker that you can talk to and ask questions.
So it's also a microphone then.
It's a speaker with a microphone. You can ask it questions.
Yep.
There was a really creepy family in the video that Amazon used.
I care less about that video, but let's talk about the product.
Funny video though.
Did
They edited it better.
Ama-
Someone did a post edit it that helped it.
Where they changed what she said. Yeah, that was funny.
The Amazon, well, it's like the Fire Phone. That intro to Fire Phone video was just as dumb.
Oh my god.
They were all looking at their crotches and marveling.
People were talking about it. Got people talking.
Yep. We were warming up to mock.
So Echo though, it's primarily a Bluetooth speaker for your living room, for big rooms in your
So you can
house.
play music.
So you play music, and it taps into the Amazon Prime Music services. So if you're a Prime subscriber, then it also does your music streams, and you can listen to the Amazon Radio.
Yeah.
That's primarily what it is. And for
You mean
Prime-
technologically? I mean, I think
right. As the way it gets in your house is if you're looking for a Bluetooth speaker, if the sound quality is good and it does and
it plugs in. Yeah.
and you can stream from Amazon and you have a Prime subscription. I think they're charging $100 for it for Prime members early.
$200 for regular people.
And for invite only also. That's not a bad price to pay for a good speaker, Bluetooth speaker, for your living room.
But yeah.
Its novel feature is that you can also use it to query Amazon.
And just general features.
Well, just to make
Query
queries
things.
as you would to Siri or
Right.
Google Voice.
Query the internet, process through Amazon.
Right.
Which is
They don't do that on any other devices, do they?
don't, and it totally ties into they competing with Google and Apple in the data gathering game.
Yeah.
They need better voice recognition. They need to know what
So-
people want, and the best way for them. And they don't have a search engine. Their search engine is a product search engine, which I assume is
Right.
fantastic.
It's not a
but
web search
It's
engine.
not a web or information search
Information,
engine,
yeah.
and this is how they want people to get that data.
Well, so they do well with voice search on the Fire TV. Like the voice remote on the Fire TV, which admittedly is pulling from it's pulling from media, right? So it's a fixed data set, is pretty good. It's
it
nothing
proves-
like knowledge graph.
It
And
proves a case where the more data you have, more even for tasks like parsing information in their IMDb and product database, it doesn't take a lot of data to get you ahead.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to get you to 100%, which no one is at right now.
Right.
But they need to get more use cases than watching media.
But it's interesting that this is always on. This is not a remote.
Always listening.
It's not a remote that you lift to your mouth when you want to ask a question.
It's
It's
true.
just always there, always potentially making false positives. And it thought you said, "Hey, Amazon thing."
Do you say "Hey Echo"? Does it have like an action
It
phrase?
has an action phrase. Right now it's Alexa, not Echo, but it is configurable. And I bet Alexa over Echo because it needs more syllables. It needs to be able to distinguish
Alexa.
between.
It's supposed to have some pretty great microphone technology. It's like some sort of strange spherical directional microphone.
Far field is what they call it.
They call it
far field.
Far from Fuden.
Far-fetched.
Was that okay? I'm just gonna roll on.
I think it's in their interest to create the threshold for the algorithm to give you fewer false positives, and just collect data, and just collect.
Oh, you think it's
voice.
always listening, collecting data?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not doing anything with it,
Well-
but using it to. I mean, it makes sense. It has always listen and try to process that to analyze it, to see if it's what you want. And I'm sure Amazon will use that data to roll out new features. Like, what are people asking it that it can't do?
Right. So maybe in the future they could roll out a patch or 2.0.
Now it can answer.
where you say, "Hey Alexa," and it knows what you want because it was already listening to your conversation.
Exactly. Like you're listening to your argument about which movie to watch.
Right.
And then when finally someone says, "Hey Alexa," it goes, "Oh, I got it queued up."
It's like that Amazon thing where when you pause on a movie on instant video for too long, it just goes ahead and starts streaming in the background. So when you hit play, it's instantly ready.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like that, but for everything.
I have to
Are you guys creeped out by this?
I have to confess, I actually went to buy one. I said,
Oh, I couldn't. You can buy one?
No, you can't. So I didn't know
If anybody's
that.
at Amazon and wants to add
I
us
wanna
to the
buy one.
list,
I signed
would
up
like.
immediately.
Norm and I would both like to buy one, and
Immediately
Jeremy
sign
too.
up.
Yeah.
Really?
So
You
get
guys
in
too?
touch.
I thought I was alone here.
No, I definitely want one.
I mean, it's just something dumb and new is why I want
That's
to try
why I
it.
said, when I saw the thing, I said, all right, look, if it's $100, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And I went to Amazon, and lo and behold, it's $100 for Amazon Prime. And then I couldn't buy it, so I joined the wait list. But chances are when they invite me, I'm not going to want it anymore.
Nah, not being able to buy one made you want it more.
No.
No, I wanted to buy one in the same amount.
They had about a 5-minute window where I would buy one.
And that's it?
I mean, where am I going to put this thing? It's like...
It's the center of your house.
I guess.
You teach your children to worship it. Dear Amazon, get me some triglutamase.
So what if it
I
can
need
connect,
meat glue?
If it can connect to Sonos and it can connect to other systems, then that's great. It's another speaker.
As somebody who has a system that's hooked up to Sonos and all the other stuff, that stuff's still pretty rough around the edges. Like the SmartThings Sonos integration, which theoretically should let you do things like control your Sonos playback from any room in the house easily and simple. It's not super good.
I'm saying it's another speaker you can add to the Sonos chain.
You can't add this to the Sonos chain. Sonos doesn't let you add anything but Sonos stuff to the
That
Sonos
sucks.
chain. Yeah, it's just the way Sonos works. I'm interested in this. I'm $100 interested. I don't think I'm $200 interested.
Well, we're all going to get the Eve robot next year, so that's fine.
Which one's the
Same
Eve
thing.
robot?
That's the Indiegogo.
Oh, I didn't buy that one. I don't think.
I did.
The $600 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Totally.
that was too much. Jibo.
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 Right,
Yeah.
This is dumb Jibo with no face.
I like the face. When you're done with Jibo, I'll
Make me a sandwich.
I'll take him.
Well, Jibo can be a fixture in the office.
Jibo can be on the set. Hey, Jibo, what's the answer to 6x9?
Exactly. Track the face. Jibo can record the podcast.
If only.
Jibo podcast video.
Just put Jibo right here in front of us.
There you go. Second camera Jibo.
Obama earlier this week unveiled his net neutrality statement, and it was for a guy that appointed a former Comcast lobbyist to be the head of the FCC. He made an unequivocal statement about net neutrality, basically, and said, "Hey, look, like there is no place to pick it apart. He is very clearly for net neutrality in every way, shape, or form."
Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Good.
fast lanes for people who want to pay for them. No throttling people who don't want to pay for it. There is no way to interpret his statement as anything other than, yes, net neutrality is some shit that we need. However, the FCC immediately responded, "Get fucked, President Obama," because the FCC
We don't
works
want
for
no
Congress.
Obamacare for internet.
Right. Oh, God, that Ted Cruz. Has Ted Cruz said something stupid today? The answer is yes. Always. Yeah. FCC told him to get fucked. They work for Congress. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be bad. I'm just preparing. Prepare yourself.
He said that. Obama said they're completely independent. They can make their own decision, but he's just expressing himself.
This is his.
He wants the internet
Taking a stand.
classified as
Yes.
a utility.
He does. Yes, exactly. Al Gore invented the internet. Obama's going to destroy it with his Obamacare for internet.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness gracious.
Amazon and Hachette have a deal. Hatchet. How do you say that?
I don't-
You think I would know, but I've only ever read it.
What's the deal?
It's unclear, but Hachette books are now available for pre-order again.
What's Hatchet?
They're the big publisher that Amazon's had the fight with over the
Oh,
last 6
gosh.
months or year.
Right,
Since
right.
May. So what happened was Amazon and basically they had a pricing argument. They wanted to price their books higher. Amazon wanted to price them lower, and Amazon, as a result of this disagreement, pulled all of the promotion for their books, including the ability to pre-order books from Hachette authors, which is a debacle.
Oh,
if
boy.
you're a book, if you're an author, it's super bad news. They've resolved their argument. It seems like it's good for consumers. I don't know what it's unclear what the back end deal is between the two companies. But Kindle books from Hachette, including new releases, are priced at like $9 again, which seems like what Amazon wanted. I assume that means that Amazon's taking a smaller or no cut of the deal. I don't know. I don't think anybody outside of the two companies knows. But you can pre-order those books on Amazon again. In the other places that Amazon has hucked their muscle around, if you think about like who was the studio for Lego Movie?
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers, they had a big fight with Warner Brothers that ended up with similar stuff. You couldn't pre-order Warner Brothers films on Amazon for a while, which basically meant that their Blu-ray sales were going to be in the toilet. And that is the next thing to resolve. I don't know whether Amazon had to pull back because their earnings are bad, or if Amazon had to go push harder because their earnings are bad.
Right.
Who knows? Speaking of digital distribution kerfluffles, Taylor Swift and Spotify have gotten into it. If you listen to that new Taylor Swift album,
No.
it's a pop album, man. She used to sing country music.
Did she really?
She was in
Yes.
American Idol, right?
No.
Oh.
That's Carrie something or other.
Oh, right.
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. Yeah, she started out as a country singer. She toured with Keith Urban.
My goodness.
Now it's just straight pop.
I didn't know about that song that everyone's parodying until
The
bass song until.
Oh,
2
I'd
days
never
ago.
heard that before. What are you talking about?
Can't help you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank goodness. I mean,
Can you sing a little bit
the
for
company
me?
of old people.
Sing it in the Minnie Mouse voice.
Yeah, sing it. Yeah,
That Mickey Mouse voice.
Oh.
they're both the same.
I thought you said Minnie.
No.
You totally said Minnie.
There's a song that people are parodying now with like Star Trek and Star Wars versions.
What is the
Notice like
song?
one. Something about your base. It's not all your base.
Like all your bass are belong.
Not that. It's something else.
That'd be
with the
pretty
word,
good. We should
it's
do that.
on the word base.
That'd be a good techno song.
Yeah, all your bass, all your bass.
But anyway, Taylor
Okay.
Swift, cover of Time magazine,
Yeah.
fighting the streaming man.
She sold more albums, and she sold 1 million albums in a week, which hasn't happened in a long time since Eminem or something last did that. Or maybe U2, if you count the fact that they made everybody take their album.
That's not fair.
Or no Pitchfork.
So she got into a fight with Spotify and pulled the new album from Spotify. It's not you can't listen to that album on Spotify unless you buy it, download it from someplace else, and load it yourself,
No, no,
or
no.
presumably
she,
steal it.
She didn't have it on Spotify.
It's never been on Spotify.
Spotify said, "Boy, that's not nice." Publicly,
Is all of her stuff on Spotify
and then,
still?
And
The
then
stuff
she
her
removed
previous
all her stuff from Spotify.
Okay.
If I'm now,
Yes, correct.
you guys
That is
know her
correct.
history. I know the current drama.
So
Okay.
Spotify CEO posts this big blog post, which is very reminiscent of all the other blog posts that streaming services, heads of streaming services, have posted before, talking about how much money they've paid. They paid like $1 billion to artists in the past year, another $1 billion before that. Taylor Swift, they say they've paid her like $2 million just in royalties, and she says she got $50,000.
500,000.
Only $500,000.
Her label said that. This is
label.
all her label. This is all through her label.
Label said, they said, and Spotify, I think, is mostly in the right. I mean, they're making the best out of a terrible. They have adapted well to what the internet
has done to music.
Dude,
Yes.
I don't know, man. The amount that artists get from those streaming networks is practically
It's-
invisible.
But it's better than nothing that
It's
they
like
get from
less
radio.
than a cent per stream.
But they get nothing from
Yeah,
radio.
But when I was a kid, I had to buy the cassette single.
But
you
they
know?
also got nothing from that.
Is that true?
Yeah, the labels
They
are the
got
people.
more-
The middlemen are the ones getting. Go listen to that Courtney Love thing from like 15 years ago.
But no, they must have gotten more than a penny, right?
per stream. The economics of the way music works, and yes, it sucks. It should be you get paid per song per listen, and maybe more. But the economics, because of the way infrastructure and scaling has worked, bands make most of their money with touring. I mean, for better or worse.
Yes, and T-shirts.
T-shirts and
merch,
touring
yeah.
and merch, and also doing better things with the physical packaging of their music.
Yeah.
So you mean
if
like
they sell
making
music,
LPs and stuff like
making
that?
LPs or selling things with way more material, more than just a song. All you get with Spotify is the song.
No pop artist is going to sell LPs. That's a certain market.
No,
It's true, and maybe it's not big business anymore, but it is in some ways the democratization of music, like just like video
Yeah.
or YouTube.
So the interesting thing that I read in between the lines of the debate over who got paid what is that Spotify, they said they paid her label $2 million, and the label said she made $500,000 on that. So,
Oh, I see.
I mean, the label
Unless-
system
unless-
is a problem.
right. I mean, the label system has been a problem for a long time. It's well established.
Yeah, maybe if Spotify became a label and started fronting money for
Yeah.
artists to record and giving them bigger cuts and exclusivity and being the distribution and production company,
Well,
maybe that's.
I mean,
Same-
so
yeah.
the other thing I think is okay if to solve this problem is what if like new movies come out on iTunes and Amazon download 2 weeks before they release the disc. I think that that's super duper dumb. But I'm also not paying for a subscription service. Like I'm okay with movies coming out on disc for pay well before they're out on Netflix and HBO Go and stuff like that. I'm totally fine with a new album coming out on Amazon and iTunes 2 months before it's released on RDO and Spotify. So that way the people who are the super fans go out and buy the album, support the artist directly,
Yeah.
and the people who just want to listen to it occasionally.
That's pretty common. I
I'm
think.
fine with
yeah,
that.
and the way people listen to music and watch video and movies specifically, what they get out of those experiences are very different, both in terms of the amount of money you spend per hours of entertainment in both the short term and the long term, and also the audio-visual aspect of movies. You get network benefits of watching it. Some people will paying $15 to watch in a theater is crazy if you think about what you're getting, but you.
Yeah, when you can when
When you talk about
6 months later you'll be able to buy the DVD for $15.
When you talk about the tangibles,
Yeah.
the actual tangibles of you're watching that content for $15, but because you're watching it in a cinema and that experience, and they've built infrastructure for that, and you get that benefit, which is an intangible, that's something that you can't do with music, because music you can for the most part enjoy it anywhere.
And music, like the kind of music that I've always bought, is stuff that I intend to listen to for a really long time. Maybe not constantly, but like the life cycle for me of an album. And I've been subscribing to RDO for 2 years now and haven't bought any albums practically in that interim. But when I would buy an album, I would listen to it a lot for the first week or two, and then it would go into kind of the regular rotation, and then it would just pop up in randoms every once in a while, and then eventually you kind of dig it out again, start listening to old national albums or whatever. So I don't know.
Spotify also gets a
I
lot
see
of
both sides of
benefit
this.
that they're not sharing, just from the infrastructure standpoint, and that's data, also
Yeah.
listening habits, and
Yeah.
that stuff. And they're not. That's something that they're holding on to that is valuable, that they haven't done anything with.
So they don't know, like they don't pass data back to the label that says people who like Taylor Swift also like this and this and this.
Or where to put tours and plan tour
Ah.
schedules and target merch and advertising.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's all valuable data.
So it seems like the resolution is that the new Taylor Swift album, which I know affects every single one of our listeners deeply, is not going to be on Spotify. But I think that this is probably a bellwether for at least other big. The people who have potential to sell lots of albums are probably going to do something similar, would be my guess. Samsung Gear Innovator Edition, Gear VR Innovator Edition is out in early December for $200.
Available for pre-order.
Plus, you have to buy a Samsung Galaxy Note 4, right?
If you want to use it.
If you
yeah.
want to use it.
Yeah, if you wanna use it.
$700 off contract.
So $900 total? I don't think so.
Man.
Should we do it? Asking the viewers out there.
Oh,
Spend $1,000 to get a Note 4, and
can we give
Gear
Joey
VR.
the Note 4? So he has a phone that's not smashed.
AT&T.
It's AT&T only. Joey thumbs up and then thumbs down.
Well, maybe it's a Verizon.
I bet they have a Goat Note on Verizon. It's a popular phone.
You could do a decent PC
It
and an
is,
Oculus Rift for the same price.
I think we should do that then. To give Joey the Note, he's the keeper of the Note, and we Gear VR it.
You gotta spend $250. You gotta get the Bluetooth controller also.
For what?
It's only
Gear
$50
VR.
more.
For a really crappy Bluetooth controller.
It's interesting that
Can't
there's
you just hook a PS3 controller up to it? PS4? They're Bluetooth.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
There's got to be some.
There's a hack.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oculus Mobile SDK is out. Samsung's also announced a Project Beyond, experimental project, which I assume will become a commercially available product, a camera system that's a 360 camera for photos and video, 16 HD cameras stitched together in the hardware, and you get to stream in real time the VR video coming
wow.
from that to the Gear VR. So you plop the tripod and the camera system anywhere.
So you put that in your school bus, and then you drive the bus
Anywhere.
and flip the bus, and you can drive the bus from VR.
And what they say is minimal lag, but
Minimal lag is what, half a second probably?
minimal lag is completely relative.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is like
no
knowing what we
idea.
know about image processing and HDMI wireless transfer, I figure half a second is the lowest they can go.
Do you know what the resolution of the unwarped image is?
I don't know, but they said 16 HD cameras, so it's
Well, yeah,
theoretically
but they're
gotta
going to
be-
size that down.
Yes.
The interesting thing about this is that means that they must have hardware that's doing the warping and
Oh, yeah.
stitching,
Yes.
which nobody else has.
that's right.
Everybody else is doing that in software, and it takes like 2 weeks. It's a big process.
That's cool.
I mean, you still don't get any depth. It's still rotational, but that's fine
It's
for
still
VR.
two-dimensional, yeah.
It's still it's stereoscopic video, but it's two-dimension. It's 2 dimensions of no translation movement. It's not 6 degrees of movement.
It is stereo?
It's stereo.
I don't believe that.
I'm just telling you what they said. 360 degree 3D camera.
I realized it's probably not stereo.
That's
It's
what I'm
stereoscopic.
saying.
I bet it's display. I bet you're not getting 3D. I bet it's using both eyes. But I bet you're not. It's not 3D. Did you see it?
I didn't see it. But
Okay.
when I asked Palmer at Oculus about the problem with 3D stereo cameras, like people are doing it right now, and I think this might have been what he was talking
Well,
about.
that would be remarkable. But that's going to be strange. Those transitions between the different cameras is going to look awkward.
That's I
Well, you
don't-
can
it
warp
might not
that.
be perfectly seamless.
No, not with
It
stereo.
has to be pretty
With
perfect.
stereo,
Oh,
It's
right.
going to be whack.
Yeah, because your left and right eyes. will
Now
be-
does the Gear VR seem a little more interesting?
Yeah, it's always seemed interesting. It doesn't seem $900.
we
Yeah.
talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
talk about your new podcast. Just put that camera out there; they can see the whole room.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Put it between
360
Norm and
360
me.
podcasts. A
Mounted on
roundtable.
Norm's head.
Round table of podcasting.
You know, people virtual.
We have to redesign the set
concert
again.
stuff. I mean, there's a lot of uses for that.
Yeah. I realized we forgot something about Obama's net neutrality statement. Basically, what he said is the FCC needs to list broadband internet as a Title II, I think, protected utility, the same as water and electricity and stuff like and telephone, so that packet switch networks are the same as analog direct connection networks. So that is the important part of that whole thing, and we completely missed it.
There you go.
PlayStation Vue service announced. What is this, Norm?
This is a television service, live TV without cable subscription.
I like
Oh, I like
all
that.
of those words that you said sound good to me. It's like over the air broadcast networks.
Over the air, Viacom stuff, Fox, NBC. No, the major holdout.
Is this for
surprise,
PlayStation?
surprise.
NBC Universal.
No, Disney, ESPN.
Really, I would have thought that Comcast would have held back on that one, but maybe they're afraid to because they don't want to look anti-competitive before they gobble up Time Warner.
So debut on PlayStation 3 and 4.
So
consoles.
that sounds great, except for the PlayStation 4 still doesn't have a remote control, and I don't want to control that shit with a
I'm
gamepad.
sure, but by early 2015, when this is released and it's a service,
Yeah.
they will have a remote control. Sony,
Are they going to do local TV
I think
too?
Sony can make a remote control.
I would hope so. Are they going to do local TV as well?
Yes, local.
So like you can in major markets, I assume, to start.
I think major markets.
Aren't they worried that they're going to
75
get
stations for live streaming.
sued the same way Arrow did?
I have no idea.
I'm super interested in this. I don't think we talked about it, but HBO announced that HBO Go will be available without a cable subscription next year.
Yes.
Which is the bellwether. Have they given any pricing stuff on that
Nope.
yet? No, we still don't know.
I bet it'll be expensive. Here's my
I bet
guess.
$20.
I bet also $20.
I think that's
A month.
a month. for
that's what
HBO.
you pay for that's what you pay Comcast right now.
That's like 3 times what I pay Netflix.
Yes. but it's HBO.
Have you seen the number of HBO
It's not
shows?
television,
Oh,
Jeremy.
Have you seen HBO's like new shows all the time?
yeah.
They were just like cranking out shows.
They're just they pack as much as they can into that 2-hour Sunday night block or 3-hour Sunday night
So
block.
you'll pay $20.
I'm already paying $20.
But would you pay $20?
I would happily pay to not give it to Comcast. Fuck Comcast. Not a fan. Although they did just bump my internet speed up at home, so that was pretty nice. If you're in the Bay Area, reboot your modem because you'll get faster internet now. Microsoft announced the Lumia Phone 535. What's
Yes.
the Lumia Phone 535, Norm?
It's-
What is
it's-
Windows Phone, Norm?
It's no longer a Nokia phone. Nokia Lumia now rebranded Microsoft Lumia.
Windows Lumia, you mean?
It's yes, Windows Lumia.
Yeah. What
It's
is
not
Windows
a-
Lumia, Norm?
Is it?
Windows Lumia is it's a phone running the new Windows Phone OS.
Okay.
It's not that it's a mid-range phone,
Okay.
not super high resolution, but this signals branding change, and I think that they sold more phones this year, more of the Lumia phones this year than they thought they would.
How many did they think they were going to sell?
Well,
Like-
I think they got the market share wise. I think we talked about this when they talked about the earnings report. They sold more Surfaces and more Lumia phones than
Than
the SAD.
projected.
Yes.
Yeah. That is definitely true. I have actually seen some Windows phones in the wild lately.
Really?
Like on the train. I rode BART the other day and I saw a blue Lumia phone. I still think they look really nice. Not interested in the OS so much. Did you know that so last week Microsoft rolled out iOS and Android, I guess iOS first, versions of Office, and now instead of being for the iPhone as well, now you don't need Office 365 to use the basic functionality in those.
Viewing and editing.
Yes.
In Office 365 meaning the subscription.
You don't have to,
Now
you
you
don't have to pay for a subscription.
a subscription service to edit Office documents on iOS devices.
Can you create Office documents on iOS devices?
Don't
if you don't
know
subscribe?
if you can. I
have not cared enough to download these apps. So
and I'm on an Android phone.
Windows Phone users are upset because they are not getting their versions of Office are crappy compared to the iOS versions and limited.
I think rightly so.
I would think they should be used to that by now.
They're still right to be upset.
Probably, yes. But again,
It's the right move by Microsoft.
yeah.
Yes.
Embrace, go where the people are. Android 5.0 factory images are available for Nexus, and over-the-air updates are starting,
Now.
rolling out now. You should have
Now,
them probably by now.
If you have a Nexus device, you can manually update to Lollipop. But if you have a stock Moto X, the developer edition, you should already have the OTA update. NVIDIA Shield's getting the update, I believe, next week. So it seems to
What
be a
about
fast,
the Google editions for Samsung Galaxy S5?
all
and
very, very soon.
HTC One?
So
What about
all
the
that?
Nexus
before end of the
7?
month. You can manually update that now.
It's ready.
Yeah.
Just mash the button manually.
No.
You have to do the. You have to do
download the factory.
Okay.
Yes, the manual update will be that does that's luck of the draw almost.
Does the factory update wipe your settings?
Yes.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Blizzard announced a new IP.
We didn't talk about this yet.
No, so I put it on the list.
This is so exciting.
Did we not talk about it last week?
No, it
Did
was.
it happen just this weekend?
Yes.
It happened in
In Anaheim.
BlizzCon.
While you were at BlizzCon,
I was not at BlizzCon.
you were just in Anaheim.
I was just in Anaheim.
Wow.
So a month or
They
so.
really wanted us to come to BlizzCon.
a month
you
or so
know.
after they canceled this unannounced game that they've been working on for eons,
Which was called Titan.
Titan.
yeah, they've announced a new IP.
Which, from what the reports I've read, incorporated many elements from Titan.
So it seems like this might have been part of the battleground system or something, like some sort of
PvP
competitive
aspect.
PvP
Uh-huh.
aspect from the Titan game.
Oh, interesting.
But it looks like a lot like TF2. It's a class-based multiplayer 6v6. It looks like the kind of game that I love.
Me too.
Yeah, we talked about it at length while we were
So,
playing TF last week.
the,
Jeremy, or earlier
uh,
this week, maybe I can't even remember.
It looks not only a lot like the TF2 visually, but in terms of the
Kind of cartoonish.
the cartoonish, the roles, the medic class, sniper class,
Yeah.
assault class, a dwarf-like engineer
Yeah,
class,
the medic literally has the Ghostbusters beam, just
Yeah.
like the medic in TF2.
which I think is fine. But I think what they have to incorporate the MOBA model for this to work.
I think you mean lots of characters that you buy
Lots
access
of characters you buy access to over time, and you start with these 12 or how many characters they announced, and over time you try new characters. And Blizzard, what they're
to.
known
Or
for,
hats. I mean, they could do hats.
Or hats.
I
Valve
think
makes money on hats.
characters is way
So
more.
you think it'll be a
interesting.
free-to-play
Maybe
game?
both.
Do you guys think it'll be free to
I
play?
think you don't release a competitive multiplayer shooter like that that's not free to play now. I mean, I think you may make like a $20 version that has built-in hats.
Yeah.
Or you get all the characters or something. But I think the default
All
is
the characters in season 1.
you need
maybe.
people playing that so that everybody else can play it.
Yep.
Right. I think that's why it's free to play to start.
What characters are you guys most interested in?
I'm going in cold.
I'm not that super interested.
Really? Oh, Norm.
The trailer I thought was good.
You. My
500
my
hours
soldier-
on the soldier.
My soldier friend.
We'll see when it comes out.
Do you remember the joy we
I
had?
remember getting lots of frags. And
Now, the thing about this new game is that
Remember the time?
all of the characters are so powerful. You know, like
they're supposed to be superheroes.
one of the characters can go back in time. They can warp ahead in space.
That's Shadowrun.
You know, some of the characters seem to become invincible for a period of time and destroy everything in the room.
Level design is supposed to be fantastic as well.
And so I'm just interested to see how that balances out. I mean, these are super uber powerful characters. I imagine it's something that you charge up over time that you can't just use whenever you want at will. But and Blizzard is the master of balance.
I looked at
So
this
I
and
have-
thought it was a balancing nightmare. Like
Yeah.
the stuff that I saw looked terrifying.
exactly.
They had 600 machines set up to play the game at BlizzCon, and everybody that I talked to who played it was like, "This is great! I can't wait to play more. When's it coming out? When's it coming out?"
Alpha next year.
Okay. Presumably that'll be a big multiplayer alpha where everybody can get in and actually play and
Looks
beat the
fun,
hell out of
man.
it. I'm interested to see what a Blizzard shooter looks like.
Yeah, they've never done it.
Ubisoft pulled all of their games from Steam last week for like 24 hours. Seems like they may still be gone from Steam in the UK.
You mean people who already bought them, they could still play them?
Yeah, if you already bought them, you can still play them. But upcoming releases got yanked.
Interesting.
And like it was never clear whether that was contract negotiations or like contract ran out or somebody hit the wrong button or what happened. But then like 24 hours later, they just all came back. And if you'd pre-ordered, then your pre-order was still there. But they pulled like Unity and Far Cry 4 and the games that are coming out this year without making it clear what happened to all the people who'd already given Valve $60 for or more for those games, like less than a week before the Assassin's Creed came out. So it was a weird thing that happened.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Mysteries. Follow the money.
Yeah.
Did anybody play Assassin's Creed, the new one?
No.
I have a hexa-core CPU and a GeForce 780 Ti, the last year's fastest video card, and it is almost unplayably chuggy on that
right?
machine.
Ouch.
At what res?
1920 by 1080.
Oh,
Wow.
man, that's no good.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
yeah, it is, and it's rife with microtransactions. So I'm going to advise you not to buy that game if you haven't already.
You don't have to wait for any embargo reviewed.
Well, yeah, they embargoed the review for the day after the game came out or the morning the game came out. Is
12
that right?
hours after the game came out.
Yeah,
is
that's
when the
fucking
embargo.
bullshit. I'll go ahead and tell you a secret. If the review embargo is 12 hours after the game comes out, there's probably problems.
You liked the last one.
Black Flag is great. Assassin's Creed 4, you get to be a pirate. You can scallywag across the Caribbean. You get to pillage.
There you go.
Yeah, it's super good. Really, really, really good.
Probably
Everybody should play that.
A lot less expensive.
And
than
which
Unity.
which one are you talking about? Unity or the
Rogue. Rogue is the last generation game, right?
Yeah, 360. PS3.
Yeah, so I haven't played that. I don't have a 360 or PS3 plugged in anymore. But Unity is a shit show. It looks really pretty. Like it has unbelievable draw distances, and the costumes are really great. And there are crowds. There are crowds the likes of which I haven't seen, and since I went to a football game and there were a lot of people there. Probably there are crowds with thousands of people in
It's
them.
set in Paris,
Set
right?
in Paris. The point that I'm at is the pre-revolution Paris, and
It looks like a remarkable recreation of Paris
it's very, very pretty.
architecturally.
My wife commented on, "Is this a video game?"
Really?
I mean, when I was running,
Yeah.
and then she saw the frame rate. She's like, "Oh yeah, totally a video game."
Oh boy.
It is really neat. Like I'll play it just to explore. Hopefully they'll work out some frame rate stuff and get some better drivers. It is super, super chuggy. Like the character animation runs seemingly at a lower frame rate than the rest of the game sometimes. It's real weird. There's weird stuff happening.
Does it
there.
advance through time? Do you get to like Eiffel Tower, Louvre territory?
I don't know how. I assume that most of the action happens during the French Revolution, but I don't know for sure. which is like 1780s, right? And Eiffel Tower is 1818 or something
Is
like
that
that.
right?
I think it's
I didn't
much
realize it
later.
was that long ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
1880 maybe. Anyway, so that's it for news. Unless anybody has anything else, let's play a little bit of music, talk about what we've been testing just a bit, and then we'll roll into a question or two. Last week, I went and did something novel on both Thursday and Friday nights.
What did you do?
I went to Japantown on Thursday night, and they locked me in a room and didn't let me out until I figured out the
Oh,
solution.
you did the room thing.
I did the room break. Have you done one of those?
No.
You would.
I wanted to gather a group to do it all in a group.
Yeah, me
But-
too.
I think it's probably better without a big group.
What do you mean?
Well,
Like,
like 4
with-
people I know.
No, I understand. I think you want to have some strangers. Like, so when you do it, so
Really?
the setup is, do you remember the Japanese Flash games like the Viridian Room and the Crimson Room and those things that were on Newgrounds or whatever, where you are in a locked room and you have to explore the room and find the solution to several puzzles, and the puzzles explain how to get out of the room?
No.
Never played those.
Is it like
No.
what's that point and click adventure, the really stylized steampunk one with the robot? Not the Japanese one, recent one. It was on all the platforms.
Oh, yeah.
The,
The drawn one.
Yeah, hand drawn one. I forget the name.
I know.
Machinarium?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not at all like that.
Okay.
This is literally, it's a locked room puzzle. So you are in a room, you wake up in the Flash games, you wake up with a hangover.
Uh-huh.
You're by yourself in a room and you have to figure out how to get out of the room.
So how many people were in the room with you?
So in this, I think one night was 8 and one night was 10 probably.
Okay.
It's a big room. I don't want to give any spoilers because, like, if you're going to go do this, you should just go do this. But so one night I went with one other person I knew, and the other night I went with 4 or 5 people that I like, a couple people I know pretty well, and then some friends of friends. I think that the group where it was a bunch of random people was probably more entertaining because there's a lot more of a social communication dynamic thing happening there.
Do you need someone to assert themselves as a leader?
They wouldn't verify this. The people who run the game wouldn't verify this, but they basically said, look, if somebody doesn't step up and say, I'm going to be the collector of everything early on, you're basically doomed. So the setup is that you're in this room, and then there's a bunch of weird stuff all around. You have to basically go through, open up all the drawers in the cupboards, look under everything, look over everything, look under the rugs, look under the tables, look on top of the lights and everywhere. They give you some rules. They're like, if stuff's bolted to the wall, don't unbolt it. It doesn't need to be moved. You shouldn't have to climb up on anything to find any of the stuff you need. You don't need to write on the walls or anything like that to get a solution. It's kind of common sensey stuff, but I can see how people would get frustrated.
Yeah.
And then you go into this room. When they shut the door, you have an hour. There's usually somebody in there that's like a proctor.
An hour?
An hour. 60 minutes.
Did you solve it?
I'm familiar.
Solved one, missed one.
The 2 levels of difficulty.
No, two different events. So there's two in San Francisco that I'm aware of. 2 companies that do this in San Francisco that I'm aware of.
2 in San Francisco?
Yes, there's
Wow, it's a
one that's in
popular
Japantown
thing.
and one that's in North Beach. I think they were both super good. The puzzles. So one of them had more kind of word and kind of number puzzles. One of them was some physical puzzles too, which I think was interesting.
That's
Puzzle Break was like physical world puzzles. The original room escape, the escape from the time travel lab was the other one. It was much more kind of word puzzle and stuff like that oriented, logic puzzles.
Do they change it up so you can do it again and still be confused?
So they do. The time travel lab folks have 2 different puzzle rooms that they run at any given time. And so I've done one of them now. Obviously, I haven't done the other. If you guys want to go to one of the other ones, I would totally go to the other one that they run.
It's like $60.
It's $30 a seat, basically.
It's still expensive.
Well, it's an hour.
Twice a movie. Work out your brain.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I was totally down with $60 spent for 2 nights of this. I thought it was great. If you like doing puzzles, if you like games like Professor Layton and adventure games and stuff like that, it is a really, like, there's literally something for everyone. Even if you don't like doing puzzles, there's lots of, like, just finding the shit in the room and taking the room apart and finding the stuff that way, and then sussing out the logic of the underlying meta puzzle for the whole thing. Super interesting.
I want some type of competitive element or some risk.
Well, so the
in
competitive
this.
element is that they tell you that the record time is 44 minutes.
That's not good enough. I want something more than the time
You want somebody like if at the
I
end of
want the
60 minutes you
shock
get
collar.
kicked in the balls.
shock collar or some stress-inducing element. Like the room gets warmer.
Yeah.
The room definitely gets warmer. It gets hot in
Yeah.
there by the end. Everybody's running around. It's a madhouse.
I want something to make it real nervous, nerve-wracking.
You could save the world if you get out.
Yeah.
It was.
Or they unleash like animals in the room.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you at the end of the puzzle break. So we did puzzle break the second night and the time travel lab the first night. It was the first time I'd ever done anything like this. At the end of the puzzle break night, at the end of the time travel, we missed it by maybe 3 minutes. Like we had the solution and just needed time to accomplish it, and then the buzzer hit. On the puzzle break run, we got the key to the door to open the door to the outside and win with maybe 10 seconds left.
Wow.
So it was literally a run, and the guy who had the keys, hands were shaking as he was trying to get the key in.
Yeah.
He twisted it the wrong way, almost missed because he twisted the key the wrong way. So it's super interesting. They do this in Seattle. Puzzle Break happens in Seattle. There's 2 things here. I think there's one in Richmond across the bay.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that happens more sporadically.
Now, if you don't make it, you
Yes.
can't go back because is everybody green? I mean, is everybody completely fresh?
Yeah, you basically this is a one-off. You get one
Right.
shot at it, lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's your competitive element.
But
if you fuck up, you're out.
But that's a way to beat the world record is just go back, with a bunch of people who've done it before and just
But it would
beat
take
as
like
fast as you
15
can.
minutes the second time.
Oh, that's not fun.
No. But so both places do multiple rooms. So this is the second room that Puzzle Break has done. They'll at some point in the not too distant future presumably turn this one, release a new set of puzzles, retire this one for the time being, and then bring back an entirely new adventure.
Yeah.
Um,
It'd be a fun multiplayer Oculus experience, wouldn't it?
I think the physicality of it really matters because a lot of it's like picking up physical objects and figuring out what's the thing
Yeah.
that's wrong with them.
No doubt.
And then also looking around the room, finding stuff and all that. Yeah, I mean, you could do a multiplayer Oculus experience, but I think the room thing's pretty good.
Yeah, I bet.
Jeremy, you and I played some Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
We played
co-op.
the EXO co-op stuff.
Bump, bump. Oh, that's
I was disappointed. I thought it would be co-op in a mission, where
I was expecting something like Spec Ops from Modern Warfare 2 or whatever
I
that
didn't
was.
play that.
flying a drone and someone shooting the camera.
Or maybe I did.
C-130.
There
Yeah,
was-
I think we played that.
There was
didn't we?
one where like you actually went through a full mission with in-game cinematics and everything, and like walking through a
There's a
city.
campaign, yeah.
There's 2 different routes, and one person takes one route, another takes the other, and you
Oh,
that's
very
Gears of War.
help each
yeah.
other out. No. What I'm talking about was not because I didn't play that the Gears of War.
No,
2
I'm
that
saying
had
it's Gears of War
Oh, two-ish.
co-op. Yeah, like
When they do
That's
4-player Gears of War, 2 people go off.
Yeah,
Pairs of
okay.
people go off in different routes.
that. Oh, I like that kind of thing. We played something where there's just wave upon wave of bad guys coming at us.
Yeah, what the co-op in Warfighter is, Warfare, whatever it is, a COD owl is basically horde mode.
That's disappointing.
With power-ups and drops and stuff like that. It wasn't too hot with 2 people. I think it might be more fun with 4 people and the
Probably,
difficulty ramped up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a great 2-player. If I had known it was horde mode, I probably wouldn't have said, "Hey, we should do this with 2 people." You need a full group.
Yeah.
Norm, you've been taking raw photos. You're back on your 1+1, I noticed.
I'm back on my 1+1
You've retired the Moto X.
for now.
Okay.
Until the Nexus 7 or Nexus 6. And I'm back on the 1+1 because I wanted to take to Disneyland this phone, which had better battery life for a trip.
Okay.
And also photos, raw photos, which I have to process. Raw photos take a long time to take on this photo, on this camera.
Like the
I think it's
reflex
purely
time
software.
between.
Shutter time is so slow. You get 1 frame every 2 seconds, maybe.
How big are the files?
And of course, the camera app crash. At least like, I think 10 megs, something.
That's it.
10 or 15 megs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to process those in Lightrooms and read about that and analyze them. I want more cameras to do raw photos, but I want the software to be better. It's built in the Android, in the SDK.
You're in the minority. Most people don't want RAW. People are happy with the JPEG.
JPEGs work great for some things, but if it's the camera, I want to unlock the full potential of the camera sensor.
Yeah.
So
I don't ever shoot raw, even with my mirrorless, just
that's
because
just wasted data.
Wasted.
it's a pain in the ass to manage. It's already a pain in the ass to manage.
The old expression, the best camera is the camera you have on you, goes for the compression as well. the compression
But
format.
it saves both JPEG and RAW on those cameras.
I
If
don't
you
want to
have
have to deal with the.
What's the deal?
It's
You plug into the computer and then you
You
say
ha- dude,
import, and
I-
then bam, you have in.
if I set RAW on that camera, the number of pictures my wife takes, it would be I'd have to buy 4 terabyte hard drives every like 3 months.
How often are you filling a 64 gig SD card?
I have a 16 gig iFi that just fills copies over automatically
Well,
and deletes.
you can still do iFi.
I understand. I don't want to deal with the massive amount of
Oh
data.
my goodness.
Yeah.
But
In 10 years, when I'm looking back at pictures of my child and as she's a year old, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had these in RAW. You can tell me you told me so.
well, if it's 90% children pictures, then
Yeah, no, it's all pictures of kids. I'm good. We're cool. JPEG is plenty. You want to talk about USB hubs, Norm?
Ooh.
I just bought a new USB 3.0 hub
I did too.
based on the Wirecutter recommendation.
Which one did you get?
The $50 Hutu HT UH010 7-port hub.
Oh, I bought the Anchor 9-port hub with 9 USB data ports and 1 smart charging port.
The also great one.
The other, I got that one because I didn't need 50
charging.
million ports.
You didn't need the charging ports.
I have charging ports on my power strip. So I use them. So I use the charging ports on my power strip to drive my Raspberry Pi.
So here's a really good question. Yours is $60. Mine is actually also $60.
Yes.
Because they raised the price. Or no, it's not $50. $10 difference. Yours costs more. How long was the USB 3 cable that came along with it?
6 feet.
The
maybe?
USB 3 cable?
Yeah, it was long. It reached my tabletop from under the desk.
Mine did not. Mine was maybe a foot and a half.
That was the deciding factor,
Yep.
actually, is because I bought the last Wirecutter recommended USB 3 hub, which died, and it was only a foot and a half cable, and it lived on top of my computer, where I think the heat from the computer probably affected its lifespan, and I wanted this to be on my desktop where it was convenient.
Of course, that's why you would have the hub.
Yeah.
You want a hub easily accessible for all your thumb drives and your card readers and everything, and having that under your desk, not as useful.
It's not, and it falls off
Not-
all the
and
time too.
Why I velcroed it to the side of my.
Oh, I use double-sided foam tape, but yeah,
so
Velcro is a good idea.
velcro to the side of the tower.
You know, you can
That's
get a
something
USB
that
3
they
cable.
don't talk about.
The
the
cable length.
The cable length.
Well, a longer cable's $1.
I don't think so. I think USB 3 cables can get pretty pricey, and also you want to make sure that it's good quality. Haven't done all the speed tests on it yet, but I'm already a little disappointed about the cable length. And it's USB 3.0. It's not like a regular Type A to Type A. It's the printer end on one of the ends.
Oh, so mine is the skinny one.
Yeah, mine is not the same.
Mine's maybe actually that's not right. This is the big one, isn't it? I can't tell. I think it's the big one.
Yeah,
it's
6
powered,
feet long on Amazon, $6.50.
and it's a 5 amp. It's a 5 amp, a 2.1 amp charging port. So it's the super fast charging port, which I like.
Yes, super fast charging port with you have the AC adapter plugged into the wall.
You have to have the AC. Yeah, exactly. I haven't tested it for speed yet, but it works on my blue Snowball microphone, which many of the earlier USB 3 hubs did not. So that was good.
I guess I gotta buy another $10 cable.
They're $10.
Well, $650 plus tax.
Does Monoprice have 'em?
Maybe Monoprice. I don't Monoprice. I've grown less fond of over the years.
We've had a lot of problems with Monoprice Pro cables here, like XLRs and SDI cables and stuff like that. Lenovo Yoga Pro 3, you're using it right now?
Still using it right now.
Any difference since last week?
I think the performance is a little disappointing on this one.
Like the
What I
CPU,
can-
GPU?
what I can do with it because of the CPU.
Is it a dual core?
It is a dual core, 4.5 watts, I believe, TDP. It's super low power. So light this is.
So it's like a MacBook Air, basically.
It uses Broadwell.
Oh, but it's okay. So it's the Broadwell
It's a 14 nanometer
versus
process.
How does the weight compare to the Air? Do you know?
I believe it is lighter than the 13 and also thinner.
It's pretty light.
It looks thinner.
Yeah.
I would think.
And it has
It's difficult.
the screen resolution is 3200 by 1800.
Having a real screen on this laptop would be lovely. Like I'm continue to be bummed out by the 1400 by 900 or whatever resolution this screen is.
Yeah. Next
on
year.
the MacBook Air. Yeah,
Next year.
it's all
We'll
time.
see.
It is time. Norm, you have BH6 on the list. Have you been
Yes.
testing 20-year-old motherboards?
Have you guys watched Big Hero 6?
No.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
probably won't talk about that on. We're not going to talk about Interstellar here.
We're recording a spoiler cast
We'll
this evening.
Watch
When will that air?
Probably Tuesday.
probably next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I presume that we'll probably not talk about Big Hero 6 on Spoilercast.
Until
I don't think Adam
maybe until December. If we
Uh,
do it, it won't be until after December when he's
Yes.
back from tour.
But you saw it, Jeremy.
I saw it. Yeah.
How is it? What's the setup?
It's the scenery's incredible.
Isn't it?
San Francisco.
Isn't it?
What? Wait, what?
The backdrops to this city, to the rooms that they visit, everything about the scenes and the backdrops
Yeah.
are just jaw-dropping.
The
The
flying scene.
I watched the backgrounds more than the movie, I think, because I just wanted to take it in.
Yes, and that's because they can render at that scale, which they couldn't do before with that lighting. The lighting was incredible. The lighting in this movie.
Yep.
I think better than the best lighting I've seen in a movie since
Animated
WALL-E.
movie.
And a CG animated movie
Yeah.
since WALL-E.
It's as computer-generated movies often are. This is the new high bar visually, but story-wise, personally, now I had a 4-year-old girl who had me confused with the Jungle Gym for the whole film. But that said, I wasn't taken by the story as much as the last few Disney films.
Meaning Frozen and
Wreck-It Ralph,
Wreck-It
and
Ralph.
even Tangled.
I thought it was better in Tangled. I thought it was a little generic. It was a superhero story, but the characters were so good.
Yeah.
The characters.
I thought the first act had so much potential with the making and all the drama and the
Right. The making stuff, the
Yeah.
rapid prototyping.
Yeah.
Like totally a maker movement kid movie.
It is.
Yeah, he designs on his computer like armor and then 3D prints it.
Yeah.
And puts on his robot. And he makes a robot. The scene where he puts his face into the robot to see his inside.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about his like titanium skeleton. Amazing. The diffusion on the light. Very, very cool.
Absolutely.
It made more money than Interstellar this past weekend
Wow, really?
by a lot.
Well, I had much better reviews too.
Yeah.
If you're going to go see Interstellar, go to the IMAX. I
If
saw
you're-
the
if
70
you're going to-
millimeter IMAX, and it's breathtaking.
You only watch it in 70mm IMAX. I would
Did you
say
see it in
otherwise,
the normal theater?
do not watch
Is it
at home.
100% 70 millimeter?
Yeah, for most scenes.
It's there.
It's never
About midway through the film, I was sitting there. I was like, "Wait, this is not 70 millimeter now. When did this happen?" And from that point forward, I was looking for the transitions, and I missed them every time.
Oh no, transitions are so noticeable.
I'm
they
incapable.
crop the top down.
I
the top-
understand. I missed them every time.
Wait,
Oh,
does it switch
wow.
to IMAX?
It's
Well, the
Yes
film,
or no?
yes.
Is there IMAX? Okay, so
Yeah.
it's like
half the film,
Batman.
It's just like Batman. Half the film was shot in IMAX, and
not
just
half, well, half of this film, not like Batman. Batman wasn't half shot in IMAX.
Batman was like more than half. Dark Knight Rises,
Oh, I was thinking about Dark Knight. Dark Knight Rises kind of. Yeah.
I was talking about the Joker.
and
one.
just like
Yeah.
the Dark Knight Rises, some of the cuts are nonsensical. Why they chose to use an IMAX camera for one cut and why for another? For example, there's a scene, and the only thing I'll say about it, where he's driving the car. It's in the trailer. He's driving his car, and it goes from a big, nice, beautiful shot of his farm to inside the car, to back to the farm, and inside the car is regular, and
Yeah.
it's grainier.
I'm going to tell you
and
the
see
reason
the bars.
they did that because the camera wouldn't fit in the car.
Except later on in the movie, it's IMAX in the car.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
IMAX in the car.
It's like because the second unit, the shot or something,
Yeah.
didn't have access to the camera, and it's like there weren't enough cameras. Yeah, that stuff bugs me. I can tell the difference between
Bugs me
the
too.
IMAX
But you
scenes and
still say IMAX theater is the way to see it.
the only way to see it.
I
would not want to watch it in 35 millimeter normal theater.
so after watching like Pacific Rim in IMAX and being astounded by it, and
Yeah.
then watching it on Blu-ray and being like, oh, this is going to have the same.
Okay.
It's going to be the same thing as Gravity, same thing as Pacific Rim, same thing as Interstellar. This is a spectacle movie.
Okay.
Anything else you've been testing, Jeremy? You want to talk about?
There's a game called World of Warcraft.
Oh no!
I loaded that up for the first time in like 8 years.
How many updates did you do?
Do you want to
It's
keep?
because of our conversation about it.
Yeah.
Like it got me kind of thinking about it. It was a good time. I don't plan to spend much time in there, but just visiting
one ever
visiting that
does.
space for the first time in almost a decade. The fact that the game is still running is awesome. But it was like visiting a real place. You know, it's just what you expect. It was the nostalgia that I would get going to like an old school, or someplace like a camp or something.
Did you play Alliance or Horde?
I played Alliance. I know. But-
Dirtbag.
Did they release a trailer yet for
The,
the movie?
the sense memory
No, they
about
haven't
playing
released it.
the controls, all of it came back. It was a lot of fun.
The people at BlizzCon said it was good, but BlizzCon fans Blizzard fans enjoying something Blizzard makes. Woo!
What, you talking about the documentary?
No, the Duncan Jones film, the
Oh.
live action Warcraft film coming out next year.
Yeah.
Based on Warcraft 1.
Oh, is that where they're starting at the beginning?
Yep.
What happened in Warcraft 1? It's just. Does anybody remember?
It was the Warcraft Adventures, the kid, who became the king of the orcs.
Because it's Thrawn, right?
I don't-
Thrawn,
I don't know the
Yes,
name.
it's that character. It's not the fall of.
The second one
what's
is
his
when
name?
the portal opens and they turn everybody evil, right? Like the
second one's the
demon people can co-opt the orcs.
Oh my goodness! Don't quote me on Warcraft lore.
Is this a script that Witta had a hand on?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think he touched anything to do with this one, but I don't know. We can ask him. We'll put him under the knife next time. Anything else you've been testing, Jeremy? Have you been out flying lately or no?
No, not in a couple weeks.
Printer bot stuff?
Nope. Haven't used that in a while either.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting some stuff in.
No, I'm working on something else.
For you to test.
For who?
For Will to test. Maybe you too, Jeremy. It's Smooth On has a coating that an alternative Bondo to finish. 3D
Oh,
prints.
really?
It should be here. It might be even.
Oh, that's
be here
awesome.
Right
Okay. So let me I'll play the music. We'll take a couple questions and we'll call it a show.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions.
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep your questions topical and short. That's it. Here's the first question. It comes from Christian. Christian says, "Hey guys, I live in an old house built in 1898 and have a hell of a time getting good internet throughout the home. My Wi-Fi signal is good, but there seems to be interferences causing a lot of problems. I'm currently using the Time Warner cable with their Wi-Fi router, but had the same problem using AT&T's Uverse equipment. I've messed with the router's band setting and spent hours on the phone with tech support, and I've moved the router away from a TV to a hallway with supposedly no appliances to interfere with it. Is the problem my cheap-ass equipment or a possessed house? I don't believe in possessed houses. Can you offer a solution? If you are in a house that old, it's probably plaster and lathe, which means that there's a shitload more metal in the walls and maybe even like chicken wire behind the plaster, depending on when it was redone. So you could be living inside a Faraday cage and not know it. One thing I would say is that I've had much better luck with high-end AC routers in terms of the number of antennas and transmitters and receivers that they use. Norm, were you pointing at the screen for me?
No.
Okay. In terms of the number of transceivers that they use, doing better. Like I bought one of those Netgear Blackhawk routers, the AC 1700, and it's amazing. So get a better router. The ones that Comcast and Time Warner sell you are generally going to be N based and probably one
I had a
radio instead
problem
of
with
three.
Netgear.
Oh, did you take it back?
Yeah, I'm arming that one. The one with no antennas. Don't like it.
The external antennas, get something with external antennas. The ones with internal antennas aren't going to cover your house.
Yeah.
I would put a good word in for the Ethernet over power line adapters. I used to use those in a 3-story house, and it was like being on LAN. You can't connect through a surge protector. You have to go directly into the wall. There's some rules
If you have
to
multiple
follow.
fuses, if you have like in an old house, you might have multiple fuse boxes, which can cause problems.
Got to be on the same circuit, but they work really well if your house is compatible.
Make sure you buy that from someplace you can return it in case it doesn't work. Because if like that's a thing that there won't be any in between.
Yeah.
It'll either not work at all or it will work really well. The thing I'll say about the AC stuff is that with a computer that has an AC or even like a 5 gigahertz N connection, I get consistently 300 megabits over wireless with the router in the center of my house. All
over the house?
It's a small house. But
that's still
with a
good.
multi-channel. I mean, the trick on N and AC routers is more radio. They can multiplex. So that means if you have one radio, you'll get 150 megabits. If you have two radios, you get 300. If you have three radios, you'll get 450 megabits. And the more radios, the faster, and also the better your signal will be because it uses it basically uses radio scatter to increase the amount of bandwidth and range. So. Like the noisier, the better, and try AC and maybe get external dongles for your stuff or an AC bridge. The power line stuff's probably cheaper. That's a good call, Jeremy. Our next question comes from Kurt. He says, "Hey guys, I'm debating getting a Chromebook to replace my falling apart laptop. My tablet has already essentially replaced it, but I do need something for typing since Google Docs lags on the Nexus. The problem is that the laptop still holds all my music. I have a lot, and streaming it on the phone doesn't work for me. How does it not kill your data? Google's cloud service isn't great. I want to own my music." Any solutions? Should I get a Chromebook and use the old laptop as a glorified hard drive? Would a Nexus 9 with a keyboard work just as well for my needs? What should I do? Thanks, guys. I think
Chromebooks aren't bad.
Chromebooks aren't bad. Uploading it to Amazon Cloud Music Player is probably the way to go. You can pay a minimal fee every year, and they'll locker your own music, not their music that you have shown you have license to.
I thought that was free.
Photos is free for
Photos
Prime
free
users.
now. Yeah.
Oh.
But the music stuff, I think you get a certain amount up to free, and then you have to pay for more. So that would be my advice. And it is modern cloud storage prices, not old cloud. It's cheap. It's like $10 a year or something for a ridiculous amount of space. Our next question comes from Doug. Doug says, "Hey guys, I'll be in San Francisco for a week around Thanksgiving and wondered if you guys had cool places to check out and awesome things to do. Recommendations are appreciated."
This should be a fact.
I try to do it like 3 times a year because people ask a lot. Norman Chan, what are you into? Well, Puzzle Break. Get tickets for that. That was awesome. Highly recommend that.
Is that something that's not available in other cities?
Seattle. They have that in Seattle. There's some stuff coming online in Chicago. I think there's one in New York. Well, like, there's Sleep No More in New York, which is that thing Braga went to that I wish we had gone to, which is the whole building
Hotel.
theater thing. Yeah. The Puzzle Break stuff wasn't spooky at all. Just that was one of the things Gina was worried about going to because she doesn't like spooky stuff and haunted houses and stuff like that. And it was not at all. Like, I would take kids probably to either of those things. I mean, here's the thing. If you've never been to San Francisco before, the Alcatraz with the audiobook tour is awesome. You have to buy tickets in advance. You can go into like the showers and all the places in the prison, watch The Rock before you come out here, and then,
It's a big time commitment.
Yeah, that's what I was
it's a
thinking.
half day. It's a good half day. And you have to take the ferry, so that's kind of a pain in the ass.
And I don't know if you have young kids, but it's kind of boring for them.
Walt Disney Family Museum. Number one recommendation.
That's better for adults.
Yeah, I don't think that's good for kids either.
Fantastic for kids.
No, my kids got bored, man, because they want Disney.
It's just art.
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
loved it. I can't
yeah.
wait to go back by myself.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know-
I would go back by myself.
Urban Putt, I would recommend.
Urban
I
Putt
was
is
a little
good.
disappointed by that.
You went?
It was too crowded and
I don't know how the crowds are, but it's kind of it's very California. It's very maker, and it's
it's a
kind
little
of
smaller than I thought it'd be too.
Yeah.
What's in the mission?
But it's a very unique indoor putt course.
It's a lot of 3D printed mini golf stuff.
Don't
right?
eat there if you're going to do putt-putt there because the lines are way too long.
Yeah.
for food. House of Bounce is a room full of trampolines.
House of Air?
House of Air.
Yeah.
Sorry. House of Bounce is something completely different.
That's down on Christie Field too, so you get a great view of the bay and the bridge.
Um,
While you're down there, go to Fort Point at the very end,
Fort Point's really cool.
right under the Golden Gate
It's a
Bridge.
Civil War era. The
World War II.
no Civil War.
Civil War?
Civil War. I mean, that may not be the fort that was there in the Civil War, but I think it was.
There are cannons there.
Yeah, they didn't have cannons. We didn't use cannons in World War II of the type that are there.
We didn't?
No.
Hmm.
Pretty sure it's Civil War.
Okay.
What else?
Cal Academy of Sciences.
Cal Academy of Sciences and the Japanese Tea Garden are right next to each other and are great.
Exploratorium.
You can go up in the De Young Observation Lounge if you don't want to go to the art museum for free,
Yep.
and you can see the whole city from there. Going up to Twin Peaks is great.
On
You
a
can-
non-foggy day.
You don't go up if it's foggy. Make sure you see Bay Lights, which means you have to be on the Barcadero after dark. That's going to go away soon, presumably.
2 years.
I thought it was 2015. Because it's been a year already. Let's see what else. I haven't done it yet, but I hear really good things about the distillery tour over in Alameda. What's that one? They make gin.
Go to the-
They're famous for gin.
Pacific Pinball Museum in Alameda. while
Yeah,
you're
it's
there.
now legal.
Now it's legal. that's
Legal
right.
for pinball.
Really, they were illegal for a while.
In Oakland, it was legal
Oakland.
till like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
I mean, on the books.
Right.
Let's see.
I concede you are absolutely right, and you knew you were. It was built right before the Civil War.
I've been with my dad twice. He really likes it. We're big fans. If you're here on the right day of the week, then you can go to the Nike Missile Museum, which is terrifying. They were anti-air missiles that were built during the Cold War that contained nuclear warheads. And the idea was that they would fire one of these off into the approaching bomber fleets, wipe out the bombers, but probably also kill everybody in San Francisco and the Bay Area. So, that's cool. Let's see what else. You said the Exploratorium. The Exploratorium is an amazing museum. The children's /science museum. Your kids are the right age for that now, right?
Yeah.
Your daughter's maybe a little young.
Yeah. We've been several times. It's a great place.
It's right next to the Cho Chocolate Factory, where you can take a chocolate factory tour.
Yeah.
You have to book that in advance.
If you want some like inside cool places to visit that aren't crowded with tourists, look up the Vulcan Staircase. It's right in it's just sort of near the Castro. It's in the center of town. And also check out the Seward Street Slides.
What's the Vulcan Staircase?
It's a staircase that houses live on, like a mailman has to climb up it. But it's just the most beautiful staircase lined with gardens and homes. And you can't drive to these houses. It's it's kind of a
It's like the Greenwich Stairs.
remote place to live. I haven't seen the Greenwich Stairs.
So the Greenwich Stairs are from Embarcadero up to Coit Tower.
Okay.
And it's basically, there's a bunch of houses there. They don't have road access,
Sounds
most
very
of them.
similar,
And yeah, it's a super steep hill.
Yeah.
There was a great episode of 99% Invisible about stairs, about urban stairways, secret stairways. You can get a book that is about the secret stairways of San Francisco and the Oakland Hills.
Oh, neat.
And those books have like walks. So if you want to do a really cool walk, you can follow the one that starts at Embarcadero, goes up the Greenwich Stairs, down Coit Tower, through North Beach and Chinatown, and then back through like Union Square and the financial district to where you start, basically. It's like maybe an hour and a half walk. There's a bunch of good bars along the way, and you can get food or whatever. There's all sorts of cool stuff to do. So, what are the Seward Slides? I've never heard of this before.
Seward Street Slides. There's a street called Seward, and it's a very small street, but you can find it just south of the Castro, sort of between Castro and Noe Valley. It is a 2 concrete slides.
Oh, you bring your own cardboard.
Bring cardboard. If you're crazy, bring wax paper.
Oh my god.
And or one of those old cafeteria style trays.
Can you
and
line cardboard with wax paper and make it go faster?
Absolutely. And if you catch it on a good day when it hasn't rained, and it doesn't very often these days, you can catch air on this slide. It's a blast.
What? So has a bump, has a hump in the middle.
Yeah, a serious one.
These are concrete slides, like designed like a water slide, maybe 3 stories tall.
Jesus.
Yep.
And they used to have these in zoos and parks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a chute.
Like a luge.
Like a luge, right. And you sit on cardboard, and usually sand at the bottom. I don't know if there's sand at the bottom
Yeah,
of this
I
one.
think so.
And like other pieces of cardboard that kids have left there. And then you
got
just
it.
hold the cardboard and slide down, and you go fast.
Spoken like a San Franciscan.
When you were a kid, did you used to take wax paper to the playground and grease up the slide?
It's one of the best tricks my mom ever taught me.
Yeah.
Grease up the slides with wax paper?
No. So if you sit on the wax paper,
okay.
it
Okay.
puts a thin layer of wax on the slide, makes it much, much faster. Like crazy fast.
Yeah.
I want to go do that now. Sounds fun. That'll do it for us this week, guys. Thank you all for listening. Jeremy Williams at Jareware on Twitter, at
That's good enough.
LedSec. The .ledsec. LedSec.com.
It is ledsec.com, yeah.
With a Q, right?
Yep.
Norman Chan, what's going on Untested this week?
We have the Farnsworth project unveiled today. If you haven't checked that out, go to Tesla.com, and on the front page, there's the Farnsworth costume makeup that we unveiled at the live show last month, along with some videos for premium members. It's behind-the-scenes stuff, the full time-lapse application of the Farnsworth makeup, which is about 8 minutes long, and also a long sculpting session we did with Frank Ippolito down in L.A. In addition to that, some stuff, Sean's Form 1 review is coming soon, so we have some stuff on 3D printing with resin and the current technologies.
That's the
available
light,
that.
the SLA light curing resin where
Yep.
the model grows up out of the pool of liquid.
Yep, and then also a how-to on how to make 2-part molds of complicated objects that you can't do a 1-part mold of.
Hold on. You
like
have, the lightsaber's right behind you, isn't it? Is it back there? Do we move it? I thought it was here somewhere.
Sean's lightsaber?
No, the lightsaber that we
cast
molded
one of
it-
Adam's lightsabers.
molded one of Adam's lightsabers and cast it, and I believe is on the shelf.
It might be on
over
the
there.
shelves over there. Yeah. Anyway, it was super cool, and with that technique, you can cast. It seems like almost anything as long as there's not weird. Oh, it's behind the maker bot, behind the cupcake.
Oh, right there.
They can't see it there. It seems like you could cast almost anything, even if as long as it doesn't have weird voids. So, but it's kind of wobbly and has a little bit of a dildo-esque quality.
How much does
What?
How much does it cost to make this?
I didn't say it had been used as one. That was probably pretty expensive.
Just the resin for the
Yeah.
casting, like $5-10.
But the mold, making the silicone for the mold was probably pretty expensive, and they have a limited lifespan.
Okay.
So you figure you get 40 or 50 casts out of the mold.
And then you
Yeah.
can metalize that and
Paint it, do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's cool.
So there you go. That'll do it for us this week. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back next week with another edition of This Is Only a Test. Today's outro. Oh, by the way, we're out of outros. So if you have an outro, Google raw audio sound file, and we will make some more outros. I'm going to kill Rome's mic since he's walking away. And today's outro comes from Derek. Thanks, Derek. Hi there. I didn't see you.
You know, what's the difference between $2 billion and $10 billion?
Well,
Right.
$8 billion.
Math.
That was a very Gary
Cali-
answer.
Hold on. California Screaming is a wood mimicking steel roller coaster.
Oh, so it's just a fake.
Yep. They fooled me. I'm a
Shenanigans.
40-year-old gullible bastard.
you look like the magic.
Do you like wooden roller coasters? I like wooden roller
Yeah,
coasters.
who doesn't like one? They're
Like they're
rickety.
scary and.
Absolutely.
Too scary.
Did you ever ride on the one in Santa Cruz?
No, because Peter can't yet.
Oh, he's too short.
Yeah.
It's got like when you're talking about milestones for kids, like too tall enough to ride on the big kid roller coasters. That's a big one, right? That's like the first.
Yeah.
That's the first step into adulthood. It's the
It's-
end of innocence.
And he's living for it.
Yeah.
This is what keeps him going every day.
What? How does that
Is
make you
to
feel?
be tall enough to ride a roller coaster. To the specifically
ones.
the Disney
Yes.
or just big ones in general, the roller coasters in general.
He loves roller coasters.
Have you
Loves
taken him to like
them.
Six Flags and Great America and all that stuff?
No.
He has no
He's
sense
been
of death. No-
Disneyland, Legoland, where else?
Do they have roller coasters at Legoland?
Santa Cruz. They have not good ones.
Like kiddie roller coasters.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.